Chapter 1020. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/little? Show.net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Please go here to read. Third sister, don't challenge Night Sorrow. Even if you're in front of him, don't touch him, Luo Qixia reminded Qingyin. Don't worry, brother. I'm not an ungrateful person, Qingyin said with a smile. Don't talk about being ungrateful. Don't challenge him either. He's too strong. You're not his match. If I'm not wrong, he'll start attacking you, Luo Qixia said. Don't worry, brother. I know what I'm doing. But this guy is really special. He entered the pressure zone of King's territory and didn't get hit, Qingyin murmured. What does that mean? It means he's strong enough to enter the pressure zone of King's territory. His strength is infinitely close to that of King. If Slaughter Saint King and Black Demon Saint King don't have sharp eyes, they'll die this time, Luo Qixia said. I don't know what his title is. I'm curious about that, Heifeng said. I want to know too, but my teacher and the other kings don't know. Maybe he's the only one who knows, Luo Qixia said. That's not right. We know about Jiuxiao Tower. It's the place where the original strength of Jiuxiao realm manifests. Isn't the birth of a titled cultivator announced to the world? Why is it so mysterious? Heifeng said. Luo Qixia also fell into deep thought. After pondering for a while, he raised his head and looked at his junior brother and sister. I thought of a problem. 2 golden light seals were drawn out from his body. They were originally there. The 9 Heavens Pagoda's golden light only strengthened them. This means that his situation is similar to Slaughter Saint King and Black Demon Saint King. He already had a title before. Chen Bai and Heifeng looked at each other and didn't say anything. They knew Night Sorrow, but they didn't know him well. In fact, Luo Qixia was not the only one who had such an analysis. The other sovereigns also had such thoughts. Otherwise, there was no reasonable explanation. After returning to the guest house, Night Sorrow felt a lot more at ease, because his title did not cause any big problems. If the title of Immortal Saint King was exposed, then he would not be able to walk in front of others, because there would definitely be a lot of people who had designs on him. Night Sorrow, the next stage is the most dangerous because this is the last stage. Everyone wants to be number 1, said Wu Lingfei. Don't worry, Auntie Fei. I'll kill anyone who dares to challenge me. No matter who it is, even if it's a descendant of a great power, I won't hold back. If they want to step on me, they'll have to pay the price. Night Sorrow said. That's what you have to do. If you don't go all out, then you won't be intimidating. Then you really have to endure 10 rounds of challenges. If you kill a few at the beginning, then no one will touch you in the next few rounds. Chen Yu also agreed with Night Sorrow. Chen Ziwei also wouldn't challenge Night Sorrow. Sister Ziwei, I'm sorry. I didn't think before I spoke. Night Sorrow looked at Chen Ziwei with some embarrassment. Ah, what are you thinking? Sister Ziwei won't challenge you. Just kill. Some people can't be spoiled, said Chen Ziwei with a smile. Then everyone went to rest. Chen Zhenyu and his wife talked to their daughter and son. They mainly talked to Chen Ziwei. Ziwei, the first few rounds don't have much meaning. You have to conserve your strength. Just stand at the front and observe others. Once you're familiar with your target, then fight with all your strength. Just be in the top 10, said Yunyu to Chen Ziwei. I understand. This is a strategy. I'll also talk to Night Sorrow and ask him to do the same. He doesn't have enough experience, said Chen Ziwei. Silly girl, he's different from you. He's already in the first place, so he can't come down easily. He'll kill whoever he wants. He doesn't need any strategy, said Chen Zhenyu as he shook his head. After being stunned for a moment, Chen Ziwei nodded. She also understood the logic. Different positions meant different tactics. Father, mother, this brother of mine is quite powerful, right? Said Chen Yu with a smile. Chen Zhenyu and Yunyu both smiled. They knew in their hearts that Night Sorrow wasn't just powerful. In this year's first sage ceremony, Night Sorrow was destined to be the most dazzling. If he could reach the top of the 9 Heavens Pagoda, as long as his actual combat ability wasn't weak, he was destined to have a good ranking. Night Sorrow's actual combat ability was weak? No one believed this because during the selection, Night Sorrow had slaughtered everyone. At that time, although there were good and bad contestants, there weren't any rookies. After resting for a night, Night Sorrow washed up, tidied up his robe, and casually waved the reincarnation spear to warm up his body. The Chen sisters watched from the side. They didn't understand what Night Sorrow was cultivating when he waved the reincarnation spear at the half-step king's level. This was because Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear had no energy, laws, or willpower. It was just a simple swing of the spear. After Night Sorrow put away the spear, he put it back in the holster on his back. At this time Chen Ziwei asked. She couldn't suppress her curiosity and wanted to know what Night Sorrow was cultivating. I didn't cultivate anything. For many years I have this habit. When I have nothing to do, I will wave the spear in the morning to warm up my muscles and bones. I want to find the feeling of the spear. Night Sorrow said with a smile. I thought you were cultivating some heaven-defying consummate skill. Chen Ziwei looked at Night Sorrow with disdain. Sister Ziwei, you think too much. When we are ready we will set off. I don't know how many days the 10 battles will take. Night Sorrow knew that Chen Ziwei and the others were waiting for him. Soon after, the group arrived at the Nine Heavens Square. There were more people than before. Today the battles would start in pairs. It was a real battle between experts. In addition, the situation of the arena was different from a few days ago. It was newly arranged. At the edge of the arena, there was a row of chairs. Night Sorrow glanced at it and found that there were exactly 100 chairs. This meant that those were the seats of the top 100 participants of the first sage ceremony. You have seen it. Now go to your seats. Sit according to the ranking of the Nine Heavens Tower. King Yu Qiong said to Night Sorrow and the other participants who had entered the top 100. Hearing Sovereign Yu Qiong's words, the participants who had entered the top 100 started to sit down. Night Sorrow was the last to sit down. His seat was very close to the main seat of the sovereigns. After seeing Night Sorrow sit down, the 7 Rain Sovereigns smiled and nodded at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in return. He knew that those who could sit in the main seat were all powerful people. When he cupped his hands in return, Night Sorrow was facing all the sovereigns. They were all seniors. Those who could cultivate to the sovereign realm were worthy of respect. When they saw Night Sorrow cupping his hands, the other sovereigns nodded. Only the Grey Cloud Sovereign ignored Night Sorrow. Chapter 1021. C_T. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/small? I'll provide you with a wonderful novel to read. Read the full text. Then Yu Qiong King walked to the middle of the arena. Everyone knows the rules. However, to prevent any mistakes, I'll repeat it again. You are not allowed to use soul doppelgangers or poison. You are allowed to forfeit. Forfeiting 1 round is only the result of 1 round. You can continue to fight in the next round. Yu Qiong King explained the challenge mode in detail. After explaining the rules, Yu Qiong King bowed to the main seat. All right, you may begin. The Purple Cloud Sovereign nodded. With the Purple Cloud Sovereign's words, the ranking challenge officially began. First, it was the 100th place. He stood on the arena and pointed at the 93rd place. It looked like he was pointing at random, but in fact it was not. In fact, all the contestants had done some research on who they could challenge and who they couldn't. Night Sorrow didn't do that because it was his last battle. He could watch the previous battles. Besides, even if he checked the information, he could only find the surface. Some people's unique skills couldn't be found out. Some things on the surface were useless. Permanent S exempt 0 feet look equals. Small 5 says E. After fighting for half an hour, the 100th place really won. He changed seats with the 93rd place. The new 100th place had just fought, so naturally he couldn't continue to fight. The next battle was the challenge of the 99th place. The 99th place wasn't as lucky as the previous one, so he failed the challenge. Then the battle went on. There were people specifically recording it so there wouldn't be any mistakes. This time it didn't stop in the evening. When the sky turned dark, a bonfire was lit in the arena. The challenge mode was a cycle of battles. They had to fight until the end. In such a cycle of challenges there was no rest. Because after a round, the person who started the challenge would have rested. When the bonfire was lit, the 50th place was challenged. Night Sorrow watched other people's battles and learned from their battle experience. To be honest, Night Sorrow's battle power was strong, but his real battle experience was still lacking compared to others. Night Sorrow was young, so he didn't have much contact with peak stage Saint Kings and half-step King Saints. These contestants had lived for thousands of years. His experience wasn't as good as theirs. This scene was what he needed. There were all kinds of cultivators and all kinds of styles. This was also the reason why there were so many people watching outside the arena. This was a chance to increase one's experience and knowledge. At this moment, Night Sorrow turned his head and realized that Saint King Slaughter was looking at him. 3,000 years ago there were 2 ferocious fellows. That time I had no choice but to take 3rd place. This time I'll fight it out with you. Saint King Slaughter looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Then let's do it." Night Sorrow nodded at Saint King Slaughter. He felt that although Saint King's slaughter was murderous, he was still an upright person. There was only fighting spirit in his eyes and there was no evil. Young man, you're amazing. I admire you. You're willing to give it one more shot before the end of your life. Even if you can't break through, you won't have any regrets. Saint King of Slaughter turned his head and said. These words were not only for Night Sorrow but also for himself. When the opportunity comes, naturally you'll break through. If you don't break through, it's because the opportunity hasn't arrived yet. The time isn't right yet, Night Sorrow replied. Good. Well said. If you and I don't die after this challenge, we'll drink until we're drunk, Saint King of Slaughter said. I won't die. I'll wait for you, Night Sorrow said. You're talking too big. It's not up to you to decide whether you'll die or not. Black Demon Sage King, who was ranked third, narrowed his eyes at Night Sorrow. Remember this saying well. If you don't seek death, you won't die. If you want to seek death, then no one will stop you. Night Sorrow replied. He hated people who didn't do anything but open their mouths to bite people. You're the one who keeps seeking death. Shang Jingxian, who was still some distance away from Night Sorrow, continued the conversation. I can't win against you guys. You've won. Let's talk with our strength on the arena. Night Sorrow didn't want to talk anymore. There were too many despicable people. Black Demon King was despicable and so was Shang Jingxian. Night Sorrow was still watching the battles. He realized that there was only one person who had a high-level attribute. It was the rule of death, but he hadn't grasped the power of will. This made Night Sorrow realize that high-level attributes were indeed rare. The Peak Saint King with the death attribute didn't enter the Half-Step King because he couldn't grasp the will of death. The battles continued. In the middle of the night, Black Wind fought a battle and entered the top 30. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Black Wind, congratulating him. It wasn't easy to win a battle. The battles continued. Then Tianan Dynasty's Yu Wenhan also advanced, but he was still outside the top 20. He only advanced 3 places. Next was Chen Ziwei, but she didn't succeed. Her opponent's attacks were very violent. It was the Half-Step King with the fire attribute. After her defeat, Chen Ziwei retained her original position. The other person Night Sorrow paid more attention to, Zhang Wushang, also won and entered the top 20. After 2 more battles, it was Qin Bai's turn. Qin Bai's opponent was the Half-Step King. He was very strong and his will was also a mixed will. It was the will of wind and fire, and his speed was relatively fast. Qin Bai's will of earth thunder was both defensive and offensive. His opponent was fast, but he couldn't gain the upper hand. Night Sorrow knew that Qin Bai didn't really use his full strength. When Qin Bai fought with Chen Yu, Qin Bai used the will of earth to support the gravity suppression. Gravity suppression was an ultimate move that countered speed. His speed would be greatly reduced. Night Sorrow also knew that Qin Bai wanted to preserve his trump card. After all, it was only the first round. He couldn't kill his opponent with brute force, so he had to preserve his trump card and win. When Night Sorrow was predicting when Qin Bai would use the gravity suppression, Qin Bai used another ultimate move. It was a lightning sword technique. It was a set of sword techniques that directly blocked the opponent's path of movement. Then he started to attack. Qin Bai's 2-sword chi pierced through the man's body. Just as he was about to kill him, his opponent surrendered. Qin Bai reached the 12th place. He was already close to the top 10. Night Sorrow stretched his neck. He knew that after entering the top 10 someone would challenge him. The challenges continued. In the blink of an eye, it was the 10th place. The 10th place didn't bite off more than he could chew. He only challenged the 8th place, but he also failed. After all, the 8th place in the 9 Heavens Tower was very strong. The 9th place directly surrendered and gave up the challenge. Actually, this was a wise choice. He would stay still and watch others fight. That way he would have a higher chance of winning. The 8th place also gave up the challenge. Then it was Shang Jingxuan's turn. Shang Jingxian walked onto the stage and pointed his long sword at Night Sorrow. It's finally my turn. Night Sorrow, come out and die. Chapter 1022. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/little? Show.net provides you with wonderful novels to read. MyEnhuating.com has almost all the books you want to read. It is much more stable than other websites and updates faster. It is all text and has no advertisements. Go to hell. Shang Jingxian waved his long sword and slashed towards Night Sorrow. Shang Jingxian comprehended the mystic fire intent. At this moment, his long sword was filled with fire attribute energy that was supported by the mystic fire intent. Night Sorrow swung his reincarnation spear and pierced it towards Shang Jingxuan's long sword. %LC Original 4 Chapter FW on Duel. Although he wanted to kill Shang Jingxian, Night Sorrow still had to hold back. After all, he still had to continue to face challenges. He had to kill his opponents and make them unable to see through his strength. Only then could he intimidate them. Ding! With a crisp sound, Night Sorrow was forced back 2 steps. Shang Jingxuan's long sword was shaken and his body was also forced back. After forcing Shang Jingxian back, Night Sorrow's feet shook and he charged forward. He brandished his reincarnation spear and slashed violently. Shang Jingxuan's expression changed. He knew that Night Sorrow was very strong, but he didn't expect Night Sorrow to be this strong. Read the full text. After taking a step back, Shang Jingxuan's body surged with energy. He faced Night Sorrow's long spear and slashed violently again. This time he attacked with all his strength. It was a fire attribute attack that was supported by the mystic fire intent. He wanted to force Night Sorrow back so that it would be easier for him to fight. There was another explosion and the two of them separated. However, Shang Jingxian was the one who retreated the most. Night Sorrow's body was at the peak of the Saint King realm, and this kind of strength supported by his illusory true chi was astonishing. With a swing of his long spear, Night Sorrow attacked again. This time it was supported by the void true chi. Seeing that Night Sorrow was still attacking head-on, Shang Jingxian roared and slashed with his sword again. This time, the result was different from the previous 2 head-on collisions. A portion of Shang Jingxuan's long sword's energy was directly melted before it collided with Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. With 30% of his energy depleted, how could Shang Jingxian fight Night Sorrow head-on? He was sent flying by Night Sorrow's spear. What's the situation? He didn't even use his willpower, but he's already so fierce? Yuan Ling Realm Lord's eyes were filled with surprise. That's a real tough guy. His body has already reached a certain level. The contestant from Demon Moon Field didn't manage to break his body even though he didn't use a protective chi shield. That shows how strong his body is, said No Beginning King. After repelling Shang Jingxian with a single spear strike, Night Sorrow's feet shook as his body soared into the air, once again lashing out at Shang Jingxian. When Shang Jingxian retreated, he once again used his sword to block. Following a buzzing explosion, Shang Jingxuan's long sword was bent by Night Sorrow's spear. Shang Jingxian was also sent flying. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear was repelled back. After his body rotated, he continued to attack Shang Jingxian. This time, Night Sorrow used the ultimate spear of desolation. He didn't intend to give Shang Jingxian a chance to defend himself. Shang Jingxian, who was sent flying, saw Night Sorrow charging towards him again. He immediately let out a long howl as his hair stood on end. He had activated his berserk bloodline. When Shang Jingxian used his sword to block Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear, the energy law on Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear trembled. He had used the desolation law and power of desolation with the technique of vibration energy. Shang Jingxuan's long sword was repelled. At the same time, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear suddenly accelerated. It penetrated Shang Jingxuan's defense and pierced towards Shang Jingxuan's body. At this time, a golden armor appeared on Shang Jingxuan's body. At the same time, his long sword slashed towards Night Sorrow's head. A Saint King-grade defensive treasure. Qian Zhenyu said in surprise. At this time, Night Sorrow didn't dodge. He held the reincarnation spear in his right hand and stabbed Shang Jingxuan's soft armor. At the same time, his left hand punched towards Shang Jingxuan's head. Reckless. Yunyu stood up. She was worried about Night Sorrow's safety because this was a lose-lose battle. Even if he won, if he was injured, the following battle would be difficult to continue. But in fact, the result was different from what Yunyu had expected. Night Sorrow's violent spear strike shattered Shang Jingxuan's golden soft armor. At the same time, his left fist punched Shang Jingxuan's long sword, repelling it and pushing Shang Jingxian back. Night Sorrow's protective chi shield slashed and caught up with Shang Jingxian, whose soft armor was shattered and his internal organs were shaken. Night Sorrow thrust his reincarnation spear forward again. This time, Night Sorrow used Nihility Extreme Strike. Shang Jingxian held his sword with both hands and slashed at Night Sorrow again. He couldn't retreat anymore because he had reached the edge of the ring. As the two weapons collided, a purple halo burst out from the tip of Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. As the halo burst out, the long sword in Shang Jingxuan's hand was broken. After breaking Shang Jingxuan's long sword, Night Sorrow's body soared into the air. Using his left foot as the foundation, he kicked Shang Jingxuan's chest with his right foot with violent energy. Shang Jingxian, whose long sword was broken, turned his right hand and stuck the long sword to his right arm. He crossed his arms to block Night Sorrow's kick. With a muffled sound, Shang Jingxian was kicked away by Night Sorrow like a sandbag. The broken sword stuck to his arm was broken again. Shang Jingxian, who was kicked away, spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, Night Sorrow directly used Space Rend. A black Space Rend slashed towards Shang Jingxian's body. I admit defeat. Shang Jingxian, whose eyes were filled with fear, shouted. Freeze! Sovereign Zishao stood up and extended his right hand towards the ring. He smoothed out the Space Rend created by Night Sorrow. Didn't you want to kill me? Kill me with your mouth? Speak with your strength in the future, you dog. Night Sorrow scolded and cupped his hands towards the sovereign in front of the ring. Zishao also nodded towards Night Sorrow. He liked Night Sorrow's character. He was usually quiet, but when a gentleman was angry he was like a tyrant. King Yu Qiong then announced Night Sorrow's victory. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards King Yu Qiong and nodded towards King Yu Qiong. Then he walked towards his seat. Qing Yin stood up and cupped her hands towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's victory was not difficult at all. From the beginning of the battle, he had suppressed Shang Jingxuan's attacks. It could be said that it was a one-sided battle. Then the sixth person stood up. I, Long Jin, originally wanted to challenge you, Night Sorrow. But since you have already fought, then forget about it. Of course, I might not be your opponent. This man, who was wearing a golden robe and had a pair of smiling eyes, looked at Night Sorrow and said, A man cannot be afraid. If this round is not enough, then let's try again in the next round. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Long Jin. He admired Long Jin's magnanimity. What a man. If he wanted to fight, he would say it out loud. At this moment, Long Jin looked at Qing Yin. Long Jin was the sixth person. The person in front of him was Qing Yin. Qing Yin held onto the armrest of her seat and stood up. No. I, Long Jin, do not steal from women. Even if I did, it would be embarrassing. The one in front of the woman, stand up. Long Jin waved his hand towards Qing Yin. Then he looked towards the front. Chapter 1023. C_T. Genius 1 second. Remember love/go/little? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Read the full article. Do you want to die? The Black Demon Sage King stood up after Long Jin passed the fourth place. I want to die, I want you to die. Uf*Ker, I won't say anything about you being useless after living for so long. I can understand that you want to snatch the opportunity. But what are you pretending for? You killed my people during the selections. Today I will destroy you. A battle saber appeared in Long Jin's hand. Seeing the battle saber in Long Jin's hand, Night Sorrow's eyes lit up. The battle saber was too unique and too cool. The handle was 1.5 feet long and the body of the saber was 1.5 feet long. The body of the saber was rippling with light. Night Sorrow knew that this was a real killing weapon. The endless sky blade of 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 the endless sky realm. Saint King Slaughter said softly. At the same time he looked at the main seat. The sovereign of the endless sky realm was sitting there. You know quite a lot. A lady on the main seat opened her eyes. This lady had sky blue hair. Her face was like a full moon. Her almond-shaped eyes were cold and arrogant. Saint King Slaughter stood up and bowed to this lady with sky-blue hair. This is the reputation of the endless sky realm. Sovereign Shen Tian laughed. That's right. Why are you all looking at me? I just said that he knows quite a lot. After glancing at Sovereign Purple Firmament and No Beginning Sovereign, this lady, who was Sovereign Hailan, closed her eyes again. Very fierce. Night Sorrow realized that this lady was very fierce. Although she had covered it up with a single sentence, when she spoke, her eyes were filled with killing intent. Saint King Slaughter sat down. However, he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He couldn't bear the killing intent that Sovereign Hailan had directed at him just now. At this moment, the battle on the stage had already started. Night Sorrow knew that Black Demon Sage King was going to be in trouble. Long Jin was too strong. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation J. Long Jin had the will of extreme water and was also of the water attribute. The true intent of extreme water was augmented by the water attribute laws and water attribute energy, greatly increasing its power. Night Sorrow squinted his eyes as he looked at it. This was because there was something familiar in the water attribute of the dragon gold. Long Jean brandished his endless sky saber and slashed continuously. His saber aura had already taken shape and was suppressing the black malevolent Sage King. It's not your fault that you're old, and it's also not your fault that your aptitude isn't good enough. I can tolerate your shamelessness, but if you dare to provoke my Hylon realm, I'll kill you. Long Jean kept slashing with his blade as he cursed. Trying to act all high and mighty in front of us? You're courting death. Monarch Halon opened his eyes again and stared at the stage. The Black Demon Sage King was feeling aggrieved. He could not unleash his attacks and was completely suppressed by Long Jean. Long Jin's saber aura and saber skills were domineering, but he was even more domineering. Seeing that there was no chance of victory for him, the Black Malevolent Sage King knew that he would be severely injured or killed if he were to persist any longer. Thus he decided to surrender. Grandson, aren't you awesome? Let me tell you now. You're just a bastard. Long Jean scolded the Black Malevolent Sage King. The Black Malevolent Sage King's face turned pale. Long Jean had slapped him hard in the face. It was not only in terms of words but also in terms of strength. Long Jean went to the third seat and took out a silk handkerchief. After wiping his face, he threw the handkerchief aside and sat down. The Black Malevolent Sage King could only slink to the sixth seat. The third seat was taken by Long Jean. After Long Jin's challenge, it was the fifth place, Qing Yin's turn. I give up this round. Qing Yin stood up and said. King Yu Qiong nodded at Qing Yin. Giving up now was actually a strategic move. It could also be considered as concealing one's strength. At this moment, the fourth person stood up. Sir, I give up for now too. Those who chose to endure now were all smart people. It was the same in the final stage. At that time, they would be able to see the strength of their opponents. They would be able to see who they could challenge and who they could not. Long Jean, who had just reached the third place, gave up too. King Yu Qiong then looked at the second place, Saint King Slaughter. It's not wise to fight now. However, I can't control my temper. Night Sorrow, we will fight sooner or later. Let's start now. Saint King Slaughter stood up and said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow also stood up. He knew that this battle was unavoidable. It might also be the most difficult battle because Saint King Slaughter might be the strongest in this batch. Then the two of them walked onto the arena. I, Saint King Slaughter, only fight to kill. If you die, then it's your bad luck. Saint King Slaughter stood on the arena. Alright. Victory and defeat are also determined by life and death. Life and death are up to fate. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and was ready for battle. With a low roar, Saint King Slaughter waved his battle blade and charged towards Night Sorrow. Massacre intent, fire intent. Saint King Slaughter used the fire intent to support the massacre intent in battle. The smell of blood assaulted Yi Shiwen's face. Night Sorrow's innate bloodline protection shield was propped up. The space intent was also unleashed. With a diagonal slash, his body drew an arc and dodged Saint King Slaughter's first slash. After dodging this slash, Night Sorrow rushed forward. The space intent directly cut open the large area of fire energy that Saint King Slaughter used. Then he stabbed his spear towards Saint King Slaughter. Kill? Saint King Slaughter roared. His blade slashed towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's right arm shook. The space intent supported the space intent and shot out a spear attack. Bang! With a muffled sound, Saint King Slaughter was sent flying by Night Sorrow's spear attack. The space intent had an absolute suppression on ordinary intents. In addition to Night Sorrow's tyrannical body, Saint King Slaughter was naturally at a disadvantage. After sending Saint King Slaughter flying, Night Sorrow's protection shield slashed and chased up to Saint King Slaughter. Then he unleashed another fierce spear attack. With a furious roar, Saint King Slaughter combined his arms and slashed out again. At the same time, he borrowed the recoil force of the blade light to speed up his retreat. Then he continued to attack. However, Night Sorrow's speed was too fast. The Space Intense energy shield slashed at the Space Intent, which greatly aided his speed. After dodging Saint King Slaughter's blade light, the Reincarnation Spear attacked Saint King Slaughter with streaks of spear light. Saint King Slaughter relied on the Mystic Flame intent to increase his speed. He dodged Night Sorrow's attacks. Although he was in a sorry state, he could still resist. Since his attacks couldn't land, he couldn't defeat Saint King Slaughter in a short period of time. Night Sorrow directly used the Space Blade. At the back of Night Sorrow's neck, streaks of Space Blade flew towards Saint King Slaughter. When Saint King Slaughter hurriedly dodged, Night Sorrow used his trump card, Soul Extinguishing Slash. The Crescent Slash with a purple halo, under the support of Night Sorrow's Space Intent, instantly streaked across the space and slashed towards Saint King Slaughter's head. Chapter 1024. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/little? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Being attacked by Night Sorrow's soul annihilation / Slaughter's face turned ferocious. He tried his best to use his soul power to wrap around Night Sorrow's soul annihilation / to prevent the God Pearl from shattering. The soul annihilation / worked. Night Sorrow's body slashed in a straight line and arrived in front of Saint King Slaughter. The reincarnation spear was pressed against Saint King Slaughter's forehead. At this moment, Saint King Slaughter, who felt death approaching, gave up resisting. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow withdrew the soul annihilation / crescent moon blade from Saint King Slaughter's spirit sea. Why didn't you kill me? Saint King Slaughter opened his eyes. I need a reason to kill. Currently, I can't find a suitable reason to kill you. Don't make me annoy you. Don't make me dislike you. Night Sorrow withdrew the reincarnation spear and took a few steps back. Okay. I owe you my life. Saint King Slaughter cupped his fists at Night Sorrow. At this moment, King Yu Cheong announced the result of the battle. The two of them sat on their respective seats. Powerful. Realm Lord Yuan Ling stroked his beard and said, Indeed. This guy's killer moves come one after another. He can even reach the entry level of a high-level will like the spatial will. There's no precedent for this, right? The Seven Rain Monarch's eyes were still on Night Sorrow. Yes, there is in the Shenhuang Great World. I haven't heard of other worlds. Powerful. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's continue reading. Purple Cloud Monarch shook his head and said, this was his inner regret. Even though he had become a monarch, there were some things he couldn't do. High-level attributes were not fated with him. Super many good novels. Purple Cloud Monarch had once insisted on entering the Saint Realm with high-level attributes. However, he couldn't hold on for a long time, so he could only give up. Although his mixed attributes were very powerful, he still felt regret. Black Sky, tell me. What price do you want to let him go? I want him, said the Seven Rain Monarch. Seven Rain Monarch, you think too much? That's impossible. Black Sky Monarch said decisively. Impossible? It's not up to you to decide. He's from the Tianding Gate. He has nothing to do with your Shantian dynasty. I'll think of another way, said the Seven Rains Sovereign. Chiyu, do you want to fight? Lord Shantian asked. All right, that's enough. Shantian, don't stop him. Chiyu, don't be stubborn. I have my own thoughts too. No Beginning Sovereign smiled. Don't make a fuss. He's still young. He has a long way to go. Don't disturb him too much, Sovereign Zishao said. Lord Shantian nodded. He knew that Lord Zishao was right. This guy is really troublesome. He has already offended King. Things are getting worse. Then Lord Shantian talked about some of the grudges between Night Sorrow and Tianan dynasty. The Sage King dared to challenge the king's forces. This character. I like it. Chiyu slapped the table and said, you have to be able to grow. It doesn't matter how well you speak, the Tsangyun Sovereign said. Why are your words so harsh? The Seven Rain Sovereign frowned as he looked at the Tsangyun Sovereign. Why are you so talkative? Who are you talking to? The Tsangyun Sovereign growled. So what? Do you want to fight? The Seven Rain Sovereign's hair danced in the wind, and mist appeared above it. What are you two doing? If you want to fight, wait until after the first Sage Assembly of the 100 Realms. Don't hit my face now. Don't be undisciplined, Lord Zishao said. The Tsangyun Sovereign and the Seven Rain Sovereign didn't say anything. They could fight, but they couldn't be undisciplined. In the Nine Heavens realm, being undisciplined was a serious problem. Everything calmed down. Fortunately, the area where the sovereigns were was shrouded in energy. The participants and spectators couldn't hear them. Otherwise, there would be a huge commotion. Then, the challenges started from the 100th place. One by one they advanced. Caritas, I owe you my life. King the Slaughter turned to look at Night Sorrow and said, that's not necessary. For the next challenge, I'll treat it as if you're dead. Don't bother me, Night Sorrow said. What do you mean by treat it as if I'm dead? I don't like to hear that. I'm old, but I'm not shameless. If I don't fight with you, I have to keep my seat, King the Slaughter said unhappily. Hearing King of the Slaughter's words, the Black Demon Sage King's face turned green. He slammed the armrest of his seat. King of the Slaughter's words were equivalent to slapping his face. It was the same as saying that he was shameless. Sure. If no one challenges you, I'll do it. I think your seat is better. Long Jean whispered to Night Sorrow. Anytime. I think it's better too. Night Sorrow said. Indeed. I like it too, the girl in fourth place said. Then one by one. I was planning to kill a few so that no one would bother me. Seems like there's no need for that. Let's fight. I'll play with you for a few rounds. But remember, don't do anything that disgusts me. I'll kill whoever disgusts me. Night Sorrow said to the row of people at the side. His words were meant for everyone to hear. Night Sorrow's words were heard by everyone, including Shang Jingxian. Those who heard Night Sorrow's words knew that he was serious. Of the two people who fought with Night Sorrow, King of the Slaughter did not say anything disgusting. Hence, Night Sorrow held back. However, Shang Jingxian did not. Night Sorrow really wanted to kill him. If he did not admit defeat quickly, he would be a corpse now. Actually, you don't have to focus on that place. This place is not bad. My place is also a test. You can all try, King of the Slaughter said. If you want to sit, then sit on the best seat. Of course you can't sit on it. Besides, if you can't sit on it, Long Jin said, you're a good for nothing. Remember, if you want to fight, you must have the confidence to win. If you don't do anything, then you're not confident. Are you still a member of the Heilong dynasty? Monarch Heilong slammed the table in front of her and shouted at Long Jin. Long Jin knows his mistake. Long Jin stood up and bowed. Okay, it's good that you know your mistake. Of course, you may not be able to sit on it. Monarch Heilong finished shouting and pressed her hand down to let Long Jin sit down. Night Sorrow closed his eyes and rested. Although the battle was intense, it was very short and did not consume much energy. As for the next battle, Night Sorrow felt that there were a few people who could challenge him. However, the biggest threat was the fourth woman. Night Sorrow felt a dangerous aura. Although he did not see the woman fight, he could feel it instinctively. She's so beautiful. Even the second place was defeated. It's impossible for the others to defeat the 13th place, Yang Lei said excitedly. The third and fourth place are very strong, especially the fourth place. That woman is not simple, Chen Zhenyu said. Zhenyu, what did you say? Yinyu asked. She's from the Phantom race. You know what the Phantom race is like. Chen Zhenyu's words shocked Yunyu. Chapter 1025. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/little? I'll provide you with interesting novels to read. Cotton, flower, candy, little say. Up to 5 new chapters and our #Phantom Doppelganger and Soul Doppelganger were two completely different concepts. Phantom Doppelganger was a talent and a combat skill that could be used in battle. The Phantom race's Phantom Doppelganger had 50% of the original body's combat power. The most terrifying thing was that the original body and the doppelganger could be switched. In other words, when the original body was in danger, the original body and the doppelganger could be switched, and the one being attacked would be the Phantom Doppelganger. Chen Xiangwei explained the power of the Phantom race to Wu Lingfei and the others. Then it's impossible to defeat them, let alone kill them, Wu Lingfei said worriedly. Wu Lingfei said worriedly. She was very worried about Yishan. According to Rosebud Qian's explanation, the Phantom clan was unbreakable and had no weaknesses. Not exactly. They still have a weakness, which is violent attacks that can quickly destroy their Phantom Doppelganger. This way their original body will consume a lot of energy, and they won't be able to quickly create another doppelganger, Chen Zhenyu said. This is a way to defeat them, but it's very difficult. They're also good at speed. Normally they can easily crush cultivators of the same level, Yunyu said, shaking her head. I believe in Night Sorrow. When I met him, he had just stepped on the path of cultivation. He has experienced countless battles and has never lost. He won't lose this time either. What's wrong with the Phantom race? Sikong Chiu said. Yes, I believe in 13 too, Yang Lei said. The battle continued. There were losers and dead. The battle was cruel. This was the price to pay for fighting for opportunities. Hei Feng and Qin Bai's rankings improved. Qian Ziwei gave up this round. She didn't want to fight now. Every time she used the dark intent, it would cause some damage to her body. The main reason was that she had comprehended the dark intent's destruction intent. This intent was too overbearing and her body couldn't withstand it. Qian Ziwei originally didn't think there was much hope. However, Night Sorrow gave her a few drops of life spirit fluid. She could fight a few rounds with all her strength. Therefore she still had to endure in the early stages. Song Wuyue's ranking was still relatively low at 40th place. However, his elder brother, Song Wushang, had once again surpassed him by a few places. Song Wushang's battle prowess was indeed formidable. After reaching the top 10, the situation was relatively stable. No one dared to act rashly. They all wanted to see the strength of others. As for those who had fought before, they had already shown their strength. It would be unwise to fight without confidence. Therefore, no one wanted to make the first move. One by one they gave up on this round of reading. When it came to the fourth person, the purple-haired woman thought for a moment and decided to forfeit. Night Sorrow, I'll let you rest for a while. Come, let's play with Saint King Slaughter. We can sit on your side first. Long Jean stood up and said, That's fine too. Even if I can't get first place in the first Saint of 100 Realms, the other spots are up for grabs. Whoever has the ability can take my spot. Saint King Slaughter's mentality had changed a little after losing to Night Sorrow. The battle between the two was very intense. The Sky Billow Sword technique that Long Jean used to defeat Black Fiend was not as powerful as the previous time. It was mainly because Saint King Slaughter's saber technique will rule that could block Long Jin's sword aura. Although Saint King Slaughter was having a hard time defending, it was not easy for Long Jean to attack. After an hour, Yu Qiong knocked on the gong. The battle is over. If there is no winner after an hour, it will be a draw. Lord Yu Qiong, after a draw, how will the seats be arranged? Long Jean asked after putting away his Sky Billow sword. This seat will not be changed because if you don't attack the opponent, you can't occupy the opponent's seat. Yu Qiong King said. What's this? Give me some more time. I can definitely win. Long Jean said gloomily. Actually, you have the upper hand now, but it's a fact that you can't attack. Besides, Saint King Slaughter doesn't want to kill you. If it's a life and death battle, you have the advantage, but it will be difficult to kill the opponent. Yu Qiong King explained the key points. It was mainly for everyone to hear that the competition was absolutely fair. That seems to be the case. Then you can sit first. Long Jean thought for a moment. After understanding the logic, he calmly accepted the result. I'm sorry. Each battle lasts at most an hour. You can't attack in an hour, so you can't take this seat. Saint King Slaughter said after returning to his seat. Then you can sit. If others attack, I will attack. Long Jean rubbed his nose and said. Can others do it? Saint King Slaughter said with a smile. Hearing Saint King Slaughter's words, Long Jean was stunned. It was the truth. It was very difficult for the people behind to defeat Saint King Slaughter. The possibility was very low. That won't work? According to this rule, Night Sorrow has the will of space and the space attribute. If he runs around, who can defeat him? After thinking about it, Long Jean slapped his forehead. I'm not as dirty as you. How can you think of this idea? Night Sorrow looked at Long Jean with disdain. Yes, you're really dirty. If you can't sit properly, it's useless no matter what you think of. The purple-haired woman sitting on the fourth seat said. The purple-haired woman was wearing a veil, so no one knew what she looked like. Night Sorrow closed his eyes because he knew his feeling was not wrong. That woman was definitely a dangerous opponent. The artistic conception in her words revealed her sharpness. The third round of challenges began. The battles continued from the 100th position. In fact, it had already started from the 90th position. Someone had already died in battle and the seat was empty. The people behind could naturally advance. Everyone wanted a chance to be in the top 10, but the hope was not high. Everyone had seen the battles in the top 10. The level of battle was not something the people behind could compare to. There was a huge gap between people of the same cultivation level, not to mention the gap between a peak Saint King and a half-step king. Some people who were not confident chose to endure and planned to show their strength later. Song Wuya lost. He was defeated by someone who used the same spear as Night Sorrow. Qin Bai and Song Wushang fought their way into the top 10. Qin Bai struggled in the beginning, but after using the earth attribute to attack with gravity, it was easier for him to win. It was the same for Song Wushang. He was not good at climbing the 9-cloud sky stairs in the 9-cloud tower. He was good at fighting. Originally, no one in the top 10 challenged. There were no weaklings here. It was not wise to act rashly unless one was confident. With no one challenging, Night Sorrow sat firmly in the first place. However, he knew that there would be tough battles to come. The woman sitting on the fourth seat would definitely move. No matter how busy I am, I will always keep the book updated at 4 o'clock so that everyone will have books to read during the spring festival. I hope you can put yourself in my shoes and stop urging me to update. I believe that people who read books have the qualities. Chapter 1026. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/little? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Advertisement. In the 7th round, Song Wushang started his challenge. His target was Night Sorrow. Hearing Song Wushang's challenge, Night Sorrow stood up and went to the stage. Song Wuxiang is my younger brother. So, you should know why you died today. Song Wuxiang pointed his sword at Night Sorrow. He is trash and so are you. If you want to kill me then show me your strength. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and replied coldly. No one touched you in the first few rounds because they didn't use their full strength. Do you really think you have the strength to take the first seat? After this round you will leave this place. After speaking, Song Wuxiang charged at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow used his reincarnation spear to meet the attack. Song Wuxiang wanted to kill him and he wanted to kill Song Wuxiang. Both sides wanted to kill each other. After the battle, Night Sorrow knew why Song Wuxiang was so confident and dared to talk big. After Song Wuxiang used his trump card, Night Sorrow understood where his confidence came from. Song Wuxiang controlled sword intent, and it was a sword intent that contained a little bit of death intent. Although it wasn't a pure high-level death intent, even a little bit of it could increase one's combat power. However, Night Sorrow's will of space was a pure high-level intent. He directly suppressed Song Wuxiang. After suppressing his attributes and speed, he directly used his reincarnation spear to bombard Song Wuxiang, forcing him to retreat. Among the high-level attributes, the life attribute and death attribute were considered to increase the level of life. However, in battle, the time attribute and space attribute were superior to the life attribute and death attribute. This guy is really overestimating himself. Does he think he can take the first seat with a little death sword intent? He is really thinking too much, Long Jin said. That's right. Even if Night Sorrow can't make the first trade, he won't be able to take it down. He might lose his life, the purple-haired woman sitting in the fourth seat said. Night Sorrow's will of space was augmented by the space law and space energy. His speed was raised to the limit as he attacked Song Wuxiang from all directions. Night Sorrow didn't want Song Wuxiang to leave the arena. He wanted to finish him off. At this moment, the Tsangyun monarch was tapping his fingers on the table as he narrowed his eyes and looked at the stage. As a monarch realm cultivator, he was naturally able to see the situation clearly. Tsangyun, I don't want to see what happened to Monarch Demon Moon ever again, Monarch Zishao said. The Tsangyun sovereign looked at the Purple Firmament sovereign and the other sovereigns. He didn't say anything. He knew that Song Wuxiang wasn't a match for Night Sorrow, but he felt that Song Wuxiang would admit defeat when the time was right, and the consequences wouldn't be too severe. But in reality, Night Sorrow had already thought of this. After heavily striking Song Wuxiang twice with his spear, he immediately unleashed the soul-extinguishing slash. After being struck by Night Sorrow's 2 spear strikes, Song Wuxiang's true qi and blood became unstable, allowing Night Sorrow's soul-extinguishing slash to enter his spirit sea. After the soul-extinguishing slash, Night Sorrow unleashed his space blade. After Night Sorrow unleashed his space blade, it directly tore through space and chopped Song Wuxiang's head in half. His spirit sea and God Pearl were naturally destroyed and he couldn't be more dead. Serves you right. How dare you provoke others? You're really blind. Qinbai cursed. That's what it means to overestimate oneself, Qin Yin said. At this moment, the green stone ground beneath the Tsangyun monarch's feet cracked, and black energy swirled around his body. His heart was boiling with anger. Song Wuxiang was his outstanding descendant, but he couldn't do anything about it when he was killed right in front of his eyes. Night Sorrow took Song Wuxiang's storage ring and weapon, then returned to his seat. As for the Saint Monarch crystal, it had already been shattered by Night Sorrow's soul-extinguishing slash and space rend. Next up was the 8th round of challenges. The 8th round was even more intense because there were only 2 rounds left. It could be said that even if they didn't have a 100% chance of winning, they still had to use their full strength. Night Sorrow grabbed the reincarnation spear. He had a premonition that there would be a great battle between the top 10 in this round, because there were only 3 rounds left, and he had to use his full strength. The reality was just as Night Sorrow had predicted. After reaching the top 20, they started to fight crazily. They might die in battle, but if they couldn't enter the king's realm, they would still die when their lifespan ran out. Therefore, everyone had a reason to fight to the death. Chen Ziwei used her dark destruction will and also fought her way into the top 10. She was ranked 9th, right behind Qinbai. The top 10 also started to fight, but no one challenged Night Sorrow. Qing Yin chose to forfeit. She could accept being ranked 5th, but after the girl ranked 4th stood up, she thought for a moment and forfeited again. Long Jin stood up and nodded at Night Sorrow. Let's fight. This way I will be convinced. Night Sorrow stood up and walked up to the stage with Long Jin. At this moment, the spectators who were still discussing quieted down. The battle between the third and first place was the most exciting battle of the first Saint of the 100 Worlds. This was because everyone knew that Long Jin's strength was about the same as Saint King Slaughter's. He was even stronger than Saint King Slaughter. Looking at Night Sorrow, Long Jin took out his endless sky saber and waved it behind him. Come. If you defeat me, no one will challenge you. You think too much. I think I still want to fight. Come on. I also want to experience the endless sky saber technique, Night Sorrow said. Long Jin waved his endless sky saber and used the endless sky saber technique on Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow used his will of space to enhance his movement technique. Then he used the time law to attack. This way, under the influence of the time law, Long Jin's continuous saber attacks were not smooth. He could only rely on brute force to persist. At this moment, Night Sorrow also realized why Long Jin's law felt familiar. It was because Long Jin's law contained the void law. However, it was very rare. It only contained a little bit of the extreme water law. After fighting for 15 minutes, Long Jin retreated and admitted defeat. He was already at a disadvantage when Night Sorrow did not use his soul attack or the will of space law. There was no point in continuing the fight. The two of them bowed to the main seats and returned to their seats. I%head_hair, the 8th round of challenges was completed. Next was the 9th round of battles. The sovereigns in the main seats did not speak. Some looked at Night Sorrow while others were thinking. They had all discovered Night Sorrow's time law and time law. In a cultivator's path of cultivation, there were some special situations where they comprehended some rare laws and wills. For example, a cultivator with the water element could comprehend the laws of life and some wills related to life. However, they didn't have the same source of energy, so they were only stronger than cultivators with the ordinary element, but not in the category of advanced element. However, Night Sorrow was not. Night Sorrow's time law and time law were of the same source. If he could comprehend the time law, he would be the real king of time. In addition, everyone knew that Night Sorrow already had space law and will. The current situation meant that Night Sorrow had a second high-level element. The sovereigns had to pay attention to this situation. Night Sorrow, your first place is secured, Long Jin said. He accepted his defeat wholeheartedly. One more battle, Night Sorrow said as he looked at the woman in the 4th seat. Chapter 1027. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/small? Show.net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Alright, then I'll see what kind of strength you have to be able to give me a sense of danger. Night Sorrow said. Your senses are very accurate. I won't let you down. If you only have the strength you had just now, then you'll lose for sure. The purple-haired woman looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow smiled. He knew that this woman had a trump card. Moreover, no one had challenged her before, so he didn't know how strong she was. After the 9th round, it was time for the top 10. Qin Bai challenged the woman who was ranked 4th. Qin Bai was very strong, but in fact he was not the purple-haired woman's opponent. The purple-haired woman was extremely fast. Qin Bai's gravity suppression was also offset by the black and white stripes on her body. After a moment, Qin Bai was defeated. Qin Bai was ranked 8th. Night Sorrow did not know the people in front of him, but he did not challenge them because the people in front of him could not fight. In a situation where he could not defeat them and expose his strength, it was better to protect his position. Then it was time for the 4th place. The purple-haired woman stood up and said, I don't need to rest. Alright, who do you want to challenge? Sovereign Yu Qiong asked. He knew that the purple-haired woman did not consume any energy when she fought with Qin Bai. Night Sorrow. The purple-haired woman looked at Night Sorrow and said, the website's pages are clean and there are few advertisements. I like this kind of website the most. You must give it a good review. Night Sorrow held his reincarnation spear and went to the arena. My name is Xiao Zimo, titled Dual Saint King. In this 100 Realms first sage ceremony, the only person who can be my opponent is you. The purple-haired woman looked at Night Sorrow and said, thank you for thinking highly of me. Night Sorrow held his spear and cupped his hands towards Xiao Zimo. Then what is your title? Xiao Zimo looked at Yishang and asked. She wanted to know Yishang's title because she wanted to know. I'm sorry. It's just like when you're wearing a veil. Some things are inconvenient, Night Sorrow said. Then take this. Xiao Zimo's body shook as she rushed forward. The scimitar in her hand slashed towards Night Sorrow. Xiao Zimo's scimitar is different from Zhu Jiuyun's scimitar. Zhu Jiuyun's scimitar was shaped like a crescent moon, which is good for cutting. On the other hand, Xiao Zimo's scimitar was long and narrow, which is better for chopping. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and faced Xiao Zimo's scimitar. He didn't know how strong Xiao Zimo was, but he wanted to test it out. As the weapons collided, the two separated. Xiao Zimo retreated the most, but Night Sorrow also felt uncomfortable. A kind of energy flowed through the reincarnation spear and entered Night Sorrow's arm. One kind of energy has two kinds of power. One kind is soft and tricky, and the other kind is extremely violent. Night Sorrow's arm shook a bit and offset the energy. After all, his body can't be damaged by just any kind of energy. After feeling Xiao Zimo's energy, Night Sorrow knew why Chenbai was defeated so quickly. It was because the soft and violent energy attacked at the same time. It was really overbearing. Night Sorrow also understood the origin of Xiao Zimo's title. There's really two kinds of energy. When Xiao Zimo and Chenbai fought, the black and white stripes on her body appeared. Night Sorrow understood that it was the light and dark energy. It can also be called the yin and yang energy. Feeling that Xiao Zimo's energy was difficult to deal with, Night Sorrow used the power of Desolates to protect his arms. This way he can ignore the negative effects of Xiao Zimo's energy. With the power of Desolates protecting his body, Night Sorrow continued to fight with Xiao Zimo. Feeling that Night Sorrow's speed was very fast, Xiao Zimo's body emitted a halo of light. It was the power of the two kinds of will and law. At this time her speed soared. The scimitar in her hand quickly slashed, one slash after another. Night Sorrow's energy shield cut through the air. His speed was comparable to Xiao Zimo's. The two people's weapons constantly clashed. With the power of Desolates protecting his arms and Night Sorrow's body, Xiao Zimo's energy couldn't do anything to Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow's attack that was infused with the power of Desolates made Xiao Zimo uncomfortable. On the stage the two people were fighting fast. The situation was still balanced, but everyone knew that neither of them used their killing moves. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry because he didn't have a time limit. If Xiao Zimo couldn't defeat him in half an hour, then she would lose. Night Sorrow didn't use the will of space. He wanted to see what other killing moves Xiao Zimo had. Very good. The black and white halo on Xiao Zimo's body rippled to her weapon. In other words, her attack was also infused with the power of the two kinds of will. Xiao Zimo's attack was infused with will. Night Sorrow's law of time was displayed, blocking Xiao Zimo's attack. This was the tyrannical power of the time attribute. The power of law could resist less than 10% of the power of the two kinds of will. This is a true battle between dragons and tigers. Purple Cloud Sovereign said. That's right. According to Xiao Zimo's current performance, she won't be able to take the first seat. No Beginning Sovereign said. The other sovereigns nodded. Night Sorrow had only displayed a part of his battle strength. He didn't use the space attribute that he was most proficient in, nor did he use the power of the will of space. I know you are difficult to deal with. Again. At this time, a halo appeared on Xiao Zimo's body again. This time it was a light blue halo. At the same time her speed soared again. This was the talent of the Phantom Clan. Xiao Zimo's speed couldn't keep up. After Night Sorrow blasted out his spear, he also displayed the power of the will of space. With the support of the space energy, his speed and attack strength suddenly increased. He was still able to suppress Xiao Zimo. This was the tyrannical power of a high-level attribute. If you have an ultimate move, then use it. It's not enough now. Night Sorrow said as he suppressed Xiao Zimo again. At this time, a series of shadows appeared behind Xiao Zimo's body. Then the shadows condensed and attacked Night Sorrow. At this time the people who were originally sitting stood up. Not only the cultivators who came to watch the battle, but the participants also stood up. So strong. Phantom Clan Night Sorrow is going to suffer now. Long Jin's face changed. Long Jin, who was born in the Hailan royal family, naturally saw the clues. So strong. Saint King Slaughter's face was full of shock. On the stage Night Sorrow was also very shocked. With his soul power enveloping the stage, he naturally knew that these shadows were energy doppelgangers and had the ability to attack. Night Sorrow directly increased the will of space from 6 to 9 and added it to his protective air shield. His body drew an arc and dodged the encirclement. Then he used the reincarnation spear to kill one of the shadow doppelgangers. At this time Night Sorrow was also fighting with all his strength. The will of space was added to the reincarnation spear. Then, the rule of nothingness and the true chi of nothingness were poured into the reincarnation spear. He directly cut through space and stabbed at one of the shadow doppelgangers. Then, the energy on the reincarnation spear exploded, and the shadow doppelgangers were destroyed. The original 6 shadow doppelgangers became 5. Just as Night Sorrow was about to kill the second shadow doppelgangers, the situation changed. Chapter 1028. C_T. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by small? Talk Web, providing you with wonderful novels to read. At this time, Xiao Zimo's real body and 6 energy clones were rushing towards Night Sorrow. Look, JC is in the middle of a battle. Yishang exhaled a breath of air. His protective shield slashed in an arc towards Xiao Zimo's real body. With his soul power locked onto her, Yishang naturally knew which one was Xiao Zimo's real body. But at this time, Xiao Zimo's real body retreated. She didn't want to take the risk. Her soul clone was enough. As long as her soul clone could injure Night Sorrow, her goal would be achieved. But how could Night Sorrow let Xiao Zimo's real body run away? Countless space blades flew out from behind him, flying in all directions. It was a large area attack. At the same time, Xiao Zimo's real body continued to rush forward. Xiao Zimo's real body retreated. The energy clones continued to rush towards Night Sorrow. 2 of the energy clones directly slashed towards Night Sorrow's path. Golden Phoenix soft armor. Night Sorrow roared. A golden feathered soft armor appeared on Night Sorrow's body. 2 blade lights slashed towards Night Sorrow's body. What shocked everyone was that Night Sorrow let go of his energy shield and directly used the golden Phoenix soft armor to block the attack. The 2 blade lights made Night Sorrow's golden Phoenix soft armor flash twice, but it didn't break. As Wu Lingfei's cultivation increased, the golden Phoenix soft armor's level also increased. However, it still couldn't block 50% of Xiao Zimo's real body's energy attack. Night Sorrow retracted his energy shield, but there was still the will of space to block the attack. It weakened the attack of Xiao Zimo's clones, so the golden Phoenix soft armor was still able to defend. Quick update, the website's page is clean, there are few advertisements. I love this kind of website the most. Is he confident in his defense and not willing to use energy? 7 Rain Sovereign tapped his finger on the armrest of his chair. If he is confident, then he is a smart person. Because in this kind of battle, energy consumption is very important. No Beginning Sovereign nodded. At this time, Night Sorrow, whose speed has reached the limit, caught up with Xiao Zimo and directly used Soul Extinguishing Slash. The dark purple Soul Destruction Crescent Moon Blade, with the help of the Will of Space, cut through the space and attacked Xiao Zimo's Divine Sense C. Following that, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear also arrived and directly pierced Xiao Zimo's chest. However, when the reincarnation spear pierced into Xiao Zimo's body, Night Sorrow knew that something had changed. Xiao Zimo's body had changed. It was no longer a body of flesh and blood, but a phantom energy body. The reincarnation spear shook, and Yi Shan shattered the illusory energy body. He also retrieved the crescent moon blade of the Soul Extinguishing Slash. However, at this time, Xiao Zimo's 2 illusory energy bodies slashed towards Yishan's back. The golden Phoenix soft armor flashed twice and disintegrated, returning to Night Sorrow's shoulder. It had withstood 4 attacks, which was already its limit. The main reason was that Night Sorrow's last attack was a desperate one. He felt confident, so he did not consider the attacks of Xiao Zimo's phantom energy bodies. If something happened to Xiao Zimo's body, the phantom energy bodies would dissipate. Knowing that his tactic was wrong, Night Sorrow's body flashed and dodged the attacks of the other phantom energy bodies. Once again he locked onto Xiao Zimo's body. Pushing his body to the limit, he used Soul Extinguishing Slash again to kill Xiao Zimo's body. But the result was the same, he killed another phantom energy body. Night Sorrow knew that he was in a difficult situation, because if this continues he will not be able to win. All the spectators knew that Night Sorrow's strength was stronger than Xiao Zimo, but if he did not solve the problem of the phantom energy bodies, he would not be able to win. Of course, if Night Sorrow relied on his speed to dodge, Xiao Zimo would not be able to win. In the current situation, Night Sorrow's actions were not shameful, because Xiao Zimo's tactic was not unyielding. If Xiao Zimo's body kept dodging, it would be normal for others to avoid the battle. Xiao Zimo was also very helpless. Before, when she used her phantom energy body, her body and her phantom energy body would fight together. But now, if she got close to Night Sorrow's soul attack secret skill, plus his own tyrannical strength, she would not be able to withstand it. Switching between the body and the phantom energy body also required energy. Deadlock. If this continues, Xiao Zmo will not be able to take the first place. Night Sorrow's speed is too fast, and his space attribute is supported by the will of space. This is too overbearing. If he does not fight, no one below King can win. Yuan Ling Realm Lord expressed his opinion. Running away is not his personality, he should be facing difficulties head-on. Seven Rain Sovereign said. Facing difficulties head-on? At this time, relying on speed to avoid the battle is the correct choice. Profound Sky Sovereign looked at Seven Rain Sovereign and said. Seven Rain Sovereign shook his head. We have lived for too long, our thoughts may have become numb. We only think about the result. In fact, the process is also very important. I feel that Night Sorrow is a person who cares about the process. He is young and his blood surges. Yes, this little guy is not that kind of slippery. He can accept victory and defeat, but he is absolutely unwilling to accept a draw. Sea Wave Sovereign nodded towards Seven Rain Sovereign. At this time, Night Sorrow on the stage roared, if you can switch between the body and the Phantom Energy body, then let me see how many Phantom Energy bodies you have for me to kill. After roaring, Night Sorrow took out the sky-piercing spear with the 5-claw pterosaur tendon. His body flashed as he rushed towards the nearest Phantom Energy body. When Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear pierced the Phantom Energy body and shattered it, the other Phantom Energy bodies also rushed towards him. Among them was Xiao Zimo's body. Night Sorrow obviously knew which one was Xiao Zimo's body. He did not have time to defend with his reincarnation spear, so he used the sky-piercing spear to block Xiao Zimo's long and narrow curved blade. Then he used the soul-extinguishing slash towards one of the Phantom Energy bodies in front of him. Then he used the reincarnation spear, which was strengthened by the will of space, to stab violently. When Night Sorrow killed this Phantom Doppelganger with a single spear strike, the other two Phantom Energy bodies' long and narrow scimitars fell on Night Sorrow's back. Chila. The sound of cloth tearing could be heard. 2 cuts appeared on the back of Yi Sorrow's battle robe, but there was no blood. Night Sorrow used the sky-piercing spear in his left hand to block Xiao Zimo's attack. Then he used the reincarnation spear in his right hand to attack the 2 Phantom Energy bodies behind him. However, the Phantom Energy bodies that were destroyed by Night Sorrow were once again restored to their original 6 Phantom Energy bodies. If it was someone else they might have panicked, but Yi Shang, who had been fighting, didn't panic. He noticed that Xiao Zimo's aura had weakened. This proved that killing the Phantom Energy clone was effective against Xiao Zmo close combat. Night Sorrow held the sky-piercing spear in his left hand. He used the rules of time and the power of time to resist Xiao Zimo's attack. Then he used the reincarnation spear in his right hand, his feet, knees and shoulders at the same time. He started close combat with the Phantom Energy bodies. Humanoid vicious beast. Humanoid weapon. Everyone watching the battle had the same thought. At this time Night Sorrow was really fierce. Even if Xiao Zimo's Phantom Energy bodies had 50% of Xiao Zimo's Phantom Energy bodies' energy, it was still at the level of a peak Saint King. Maybe there was a difference in energy, but with the help of battle techniques, it could definitely reach the level of a peak Saint King. Night Sorrow's tyrannical battle strength was displayed in close combat with 7 opponents who were at the same level as him. Chapter 1029. Genius 1 second. Remember to love novels, providing you with wonderful novels to read. To read this book, please go to every time Night Sorrow destroyed one of Xiao Zimo's doppelgangers, he would also be hit. But no one saw any blood on Night Sorrow's body. In other words, when Xiao Zimo's doppelgangers attacked Night Sorrow's body, they didn't break through Night Sorrow's body. No one knew that Night Sorrow's body had been strengthened by the power of desolates and now had the laws of time. When he was attacked, Night Sorrow's body's laws of time would offset a portion of the attack's energy. Xiao Zimo's doppelgangers didn't have enough energy, so they were offset by Night Sorrow's laws of time. Naturally, they couldn't break through Night Sorrow's body's defenses. The hand-to-hand combat continued. Xiao Zimo's doppelgangers were constantly being destroyed by Night Sorrow. She was constantly creating doppelgangers to supplement the number of doppelgangers destroyed by Night Sorrow. Are these 2 animals? Slaughter, you don't have a chance in second place. Long Jean said. If Night Sorrow is defeated, he will continue to fight with her in the next round. He definitely won't fight with me, a loser. But if that woman is defeated, she won't be able to defeat Night Sorrow, so she will bully me. Saint King Slaughter said. What you say makes sense. But will Night Sorrow be defeated? Obviously not. That woman is very abnormal, but Night Sorrow is even more of an animal. Her doppelgangers can't break through his defenses, so you just have to wait for that woman to challenge you. Long Jin analyzed and said. Currently, the two of them are fighting a battle of attrition. Night Sorrow is enduring the attacks, so he won't have any energy consumption. But that woman's doppelgangers have already been destroyed, so she'll definitely have energy consumption. Let's see who is more ruthless and who can last until the end. Saint King Slaughter said his own opinion. At this time, the battle on the stage was tumbling. A figure was flying around the stage. There were almost all the books that one wanted to read. It was much more stable than the average website. The updates were faster and there were no advertisements. Don't worry, Dual Extreme's Holy King's energy consumption is much greater than Night Sorrow's. Night Sorrow destroyed her Phantom Energy avatar quickly, but the energy consumption of her Phantom Energy avatar is much greater. If the battle continues like this, she will lose. Besides, there is a 1-hour time limit. Qian Zhenyu comforted the people behind him who were concerned about Night Sorrow. But in fact, it was different from Qian Zhenyu's estimation. Night Sorrow suddenly used the space crack to block the joint attack of Xiao Zimo and the 6 phantoms, and then accelerated the speed of killing the phantoms. As soon as Night Sorrow's killing speed increased, Xiao Zimo couldn't hold on any longer. She needs her own energy to create an energy clone. After using the space crack 3 times in a row, Night Sorrow killed over 20 phantoms. Xiao Zimo couldn't keep up with the speed and number of phantoms she created. She could only maintain 3. Let's see how long you can last. Kill. Night Sorrow's robes were torn to shreds, but his fighting spirit was high. There were only 3 Phantom Energy avatars, so the threat wasn't big. Night Sorrow changed his target and directly attacked Xiao Zimo's true body. He used the will of space and the space laws to support his body. He also used the soul extinguishing slash. Xiao Zimo only had 40% of her energy left. She couldn't create more phantoms. She needed her true body to maintain at least 40% of her energy to create more Phantom Energy avatars. When her true body was once again killed, and her true body moved to the last Phantom Energy avatar, Xiao Zimo admitted defeat. Xiao Zimo also didn't want to admit defeat. But she had no choice because when she was killed again, it wouldn't be a Phantom Energy avatar, but her true body. Night Sorrow used the soul extinguishing slash to kill her. She didn't even have the chance to admit defeat after being hit by the soul extinguishing slash. Look at chapter number 1 of the original edition. The battle was over. Sovereign Zishao stood up and clapped his hands. Half of the sovereigns also stood up and clapped. You two are really good. Both of you have the qualifications to sit at the top of the first sacred ceremony of the 100 Worlds. Xiao Zimo, I can only say that your luck is a bit bad. You were born in the same era as your opponent. Sovereign Zishao said. He had lived for many years, but he had rarely seen cultivators below the king realm. That was why he was very appreciative of them. Many thanks for your praise, Sovereign Zishao. A loss is a loss. I just lost 10 years of cultivation time in the will of heaven and earth. 100 years or 90 years doesn't make any difference to me. It's enough. Night Sorrow, wait until you enter the king realm. Xiao Zimo looked at Night Sorrow and said. Okay. I'll wait for you anytime. I'm sorry this time. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Xiao Zimo. He knew that Xiao Zimo was really strong. If he didn't cultivate the 10,000 Dao Tome, it would be very difficult for him to win. Then King Yu Qiong announced the result of the battle. Night Sorrow wore a tattered robe and returned to the first seat. Then he changed into a new robe. Fortunately, his pants weren't damaged. Otherwise, he would have lost a lot of face. There were too many people watching. You're really ruthless. Long Jin gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. That's the real ruthless person. Night Sorrow said to Xiao Zimo, who was sitting down. I came here for the first place. In the end, you guys have to make way for me. Xiao Zimo looked at Long Jin and Saint King of Slaughter and said. Saint King of Slaughter laughed. I really didn't expect that after cultivating for 3,000 years and then participating in the first sacred ceremony of the 100 Worlds, you would fall by 1 rank. You won't. Dual Saint King, can you sit with me? Long Jin looked at Saint King of Slaughter and turned his head to look at Xiao Zimo beside him. I didn't expect that you would be so generous. Then I don't care about 1 rank. Xiao Zimo said. She understood that Long Jin wanted to protect Saint King of Slaughter's reputation. After all, he had cultivated for 3,000 years and still fell by 1 rank. This would make Saint King of Slaughter a laughingstock. You guys are thinking too much. If you're alive, you can disrespect others, but you must respect yourself. If you're not as good as others, then you're not as good as others. If you give way, then you're looking down on me. If I accept, then that's a disgrace. Besides, the 4th place has 70 years of cultivation. That's enough. If I can break through, then I'll break through. If I can't, then it's fate. If I can't break through, then I'll break through. Okay, then it's settled. We'll respect you and respect ourselves. Xiao Ziemo said. That's good. Let me rest for the next round. After the ceremony, I'll treat you guys to a drink. However, if someone challenges me, then you guys won't have the chance to fight me. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Okay, you have to treat me to a drink. Long Jean said with a smile. He naturally knew that Night Sorrow was joking. After all, Night Sorrow wasn't afraid of any challenge. Night Sorrow, since you're treating us to a drink, you have to bring me along. Qingyin laughed. It seems that Saint King Qingyin wants to let me off. This drink is on me. Night Sorrow said. Not bad. This group of youngsters is different from the previous batch. They all have spirit and breadth of mind. Purple Cloud Sovereign looked at the row of contestants and nodded with satisfaction. At this time, the 10th round had already begun. Night Sorrow knew that the battles wouldn't be intense. The rankings had basically been set. Everyone's strength was more or less on display. Most likely there would be some battles, but some hadn't. Xikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Qing Ji were all very happy. Wu Lingfei, who had a very calm expression, also had a smile on her face. You guys can rest assured. Other than the Phantom Race's dual Saint King, no one else can threaten Night Sorrow. Chen Zhenyu said. The 7 Rain Sovereign took a sip of tea. That's basically it. I'm very curious about his title. I'll ask him later. Chapter 1030. Genius 1 second. Remember to love novels, providing you with exciting novels to read. Please go to read. Then he has to be willing to tell you. Don't force him. There's no need for that, said No Beginning Sovereign. Brother No Beginning may be right, but it's uncomfortable to want to know but not know, said the 7 Rain Sovereign. She still wanted to find a chance to ask. The challenges continued, but there were no fatalities. If there was no hope of entering the top 10, it was not worth risking their lives. At the 14th place, Yu Wenhan challenged. He directly chose the 5th place, Qingyin, because that was the highest he could reach. Get up. Although you're a woman, I don't have the habit of giving in to women. You need strength to sit there. Yu Wenhan pointed at Qingyin. No Beginning Sovereign, he's challenging your disciple, right? Asked the Yuanling Realm Lord. My 3rd disciple doesn't like to fight, but who thinks she's easy to bully and wants to steal her things? Well, the result is not good. He's asking for trouble. No Beginning Sovereign sipped his tea as he spoke. Qingyin went up on stage. Is my seat good? The first 2 challengers were closer to me. They're more reliable. Who do you think you are? After speaking, Qingyin's sword appeared. Then, with a swipe of her left hand, a layer of metal on the sword was removed, and a new sword appeared. It was a green sword full of holes. Following that, the 2 of them started fighting. Only now did everyone realize how powerful Qingyin was. Aside from the will of wind and thunder that she had displayed in her previous battles, she also controlled the will of sound. He waved his sword, and circles of light flew towards Yu Wenhan. Yishan knew that it was a sound wave attack. It can affect the soul. How domineering. Long Jin narrowed his eyes. A moment later, Yu Wenhan's right arm was chopped off. When Qingyin's sword was about to reach his neck, he shouted that he admitted defeat. You admit defeat quickly. Qingyin's sword was at Yu Wenhan's neck. I've already admitted defeat. You can't kill me. Take back your sword. Yu Wenhan reached out to push Qingyin's sword away. After you admit defeat, I won't be able to kill you. If I can't kill you, I won't be able to hit you. Qingyin's arm trembled and her sword's blade struck Yu Wenhan's face. She then kicked Yu Wenhan's chin. After kicking Yu Wenhan over, Qingyin went up and kicked him. By the time Yu Qiong King stopped her, Qingyin had already kicked a dozen times. Who knew how many of Yu Wenhan's bones had been broken? That was a good fight. Xiao Ziemo said. He's too violent, but I admire his temper. Sluts have to be beaten, and he wants to get to 5th place. His head must be wet, said Long Jin. No one liked people who aim too high. Yu Wenhan's mouth was also slutty and annoying. Sage King Qingyin beautiful. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Qingyin. Night Sorrow, you're friends with my 2 junior brothers. You can call me Sister Qingyin. Qingyin smiled and nodded towards Night Sorrow. Following that, the top 10 didn't move because it was already set in stone. After 9 rounds, those who could fight had already fought, and those who couldn't fight anymore. Fighting head-on was just asking for trouble. Cultivators all had their own personalities. If their strength was about the same, then there was no problem. If they knew they couldn't fight, then they would be shameless and ruthless. Yuqiong King asked one by one until he asked Xiao Ziemo. Xiao Ziemo stood up. After Slaughter Sage King stood up, the two of them swapped places. Then Yuqiong King asked again. After asking all of them, he nodded towards Night Sorrow. There was no need to ask Night Sorrow anymore. Night Sorrow wanted to fight, but he couldn't. He couldn't just go back and fight. After confirming that there were no more challengers, Yuqiong King went to the main seat and reported the results of the battles. Monarch Zishao stood up and walked to the arena. You're all very good. The current seats are the rankings of the first holy ceremony of the 100 Worlds. I congratulate you here. Now I'll announce something. Next, those who are ranked below the 10th place, go to King Yuqiong to receive different rewards. After that, Monarch Zishao looked at the top 10 cultivators and said, Congratulations. Tomorrow you'll meet here again. We'll give you your rewards and we'll open the cave. In addition, for the next 3 years, no one is allowed to fight in Nine Cloud City. Anyone who violates this rule will be killed, no matter who they are, no matter where they come from, even if they're monarch-level cultivators. The other monarchs also stood up and nodded. This was the rule of the past, no one could violate it. Whoever violated it and attacked the participants of the first holy ceremony of the 100 Worlds would become everyone's enemy. Killing the future elites of the Nine Heavens world would harm the interests of most people. It would weaken the future strength of the Nine Heavens world. No monarch could tolerate it. Then Monarch Zishao announced the end of the first holy ceremony of the 100 Worlds. Let's go. Night Sorrow, treat us to a drink. We also want to congratulate you, said Long Jin. Can I say hello to my family? Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He was very happy to have taken first place this time. After arriving at the Profound Heaven Worlds area, Yishang greeted Chen Zhenyu and his wife. After greeting his parents and wife, he went to the place where Saint King Slaughter, Long Jin, Xiao Ziemo, and Qing Yin were waiting. Then the 5 of them went to Nine Heavens City and found a restaurant. They asked for a private room. Xiao Ziemo, you can drink with a veil, said Long Jin. Then I'll take it off and drink. I wear a veil because I don't want others to feel uncomfortable. Xiao Ziemo took off her veil. Night Sorrow and the others also knew why Xiao Ziemo wore a veil. It was because there was a mark on her cheek. It was called a mark, but it was more like a tattoo. It was a flower butterfly. The flower butterfly was not ugly, but it added a bit of a flirtatious aura to Xiao Ziemo. However, it was not suitable to expose it in front of others. It would attract attention. As they drank, everyone introduced themselves. First, Night Sorrow introduced his sect. Then Xiao Ziemo introduced herself. Xiao Ziemo was from the Phantom Realm. She was from the Phantom Imperial family. They could find her in the Phantom Imperial Palace. Long Jin was from the Sea Wave Realm's Imperial family. Saint King Slaughter was a rogue cultivator from the Profound Celestial Realm. He was from the same region as Night Sorrow. Qing Yin was from the Sky Dome Realm. She was the 3rd disciple of Boundless Mountain. In 100 years, let's meet here and drink again. How about it? Said Long Jin. Everyone agreed with Long Jin's suggestion. After all, they were familiar with each other. Then they separated and returned to their own guest houses. At this time, the guest house of the Profound Heaven world was celebrating. Night Sorrow had taken first place in the 100 Realms' first sacred ceremony. Top 44 Night Sorrow left the restaurant and rushed towards the guest house. He wanted to meet up with everyone. He knew that everyone should be very happy. Not far from the restaurant, Night Sorrow's path was blocked. It was a woman wearing a light purple dress. It was none other than the 7 Rain Sovereign. Night Sorrow greets Lord Sovereign. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards the 7 Rain Sovereign. No need to be nervous. I am the 7 Rain Sovereign. I have no ill intentions. The 7 Rain Sovereign smiled. Chapter 1031. Aunt Fei, you're here. Have a seat. Night Sorrow pulled out a chair for Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei sat down. Night Sorrow, you've gained a lot this time, but you're also in a lot of trouble. Yes, it's very serious. Night Sorrow nodded and told Wu Lingfei his worries. That's right. Those are 2 sovereigns. They have their own forces. If their subordinate king attacks, we won't be able to stop them. The Tianding Gate won't be able to stop them either, said Wu Lingfei. She had come to find Yishang because she was worried about the situation. After tomorrow she would have to face some things. Today the 7 Rain Sovereigns came to me and invited me to join them. I didn't reject them directly. If the situation is bad, I can think of a way out. Nine Heavens City can't fight for 3 years, so we can only hide for 3 years, said Night Sorrow. That's a good thing. Without the sovereigns, we can't stop them from taking revenge. Hiding isn't a solution either. After all, we have to consider whether or not the Tianding Gate will be attacked, said Wu Lingfei. Sigh, I felt good killing them, but I had to pay a heavy price for that, said Night Sorrow, rubbing his head. Let's think about it. If it doesn't work, we can go back and talk to Mr. Xiang. Should we move or hide? Said Wu Lingfei. No need, we don't have to do that. At that moment, Night Sorrow's door opened. Qian Zhenyu opened the door and stood to the side. An old man came in. Night Sorrow greets Mr. Monarch. Wu Lingfei greets Mr. Monarch. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei stood up and bowed to the old man. It was Xian Tian Monarch. No need to be so polite. Night Sorrow, you did well this time. Although you're not from Tianshan World, you're still from Tianshan World. If I can't protect Tianshan World and let the other sovereigns do whatever they want, then there's no need for me to be a sovereign, said the old man who was Xian Tian Monarch. But this is a big mess. I beg Lord Monarch to protect the Tianding Gate. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Lord Xian Tian. I can do that. Don't worry. If they want to make a move, then let them try. Lord Xian Tian's attitude was very strong. Thank you, Lord Monarch. Night Sorrow felt relieved. However, I have to remind you of something. I can control them to fight on a large scale, but some small problems cannot be avoided. That is the rule, Lord Xian Tian said. What rules? Night Sorrow asked. Now he felt at ease. As long as Lord Xian Tian could protect the Tianding Gate, Night Sorrow had nothing to worry about. At worst, he could just send the people around him back to the 9-domain world. Within the 9 regions world, only Saint Kings could enter, and anyone below the Saint King level would be courting death. How many Saint Kings were there in the 9 regions world? Then Lord Xian Tian explained the rules of the 9 Firmament World Group. In a battle between 2 powers, if the monarch didn't make a move, the other monarchs couldn't interfere. Battles between forces were common, but it was usually a battle between forces within a world. If one force wanted to cross worlds to fight, it would trigger a group attack from the other world's forces. This wasn't something that an ordinary force could withstand. Monarch powers couldn't withstand it either. If the monarch didn't make a move, the king of one power couldn't withstand the attack of the king of the other world. The monarch's existence was a deterrent and wouldn't make a move easily. In addition, battles between realms wouldn't happen easily. If there was hatred that couldn't be tolerated, it would be a one-on-one battle. In a one-on-one battle, the person attacking wouldn't be more than 3 levels higher than the opponent. Exceeding 3 levels was a violation of the rules. Breaking the rules was a big matter. No one wanted to become the target of public criticism. Fortunately, this isn't a big problem. Night Sorrow's heart calmed down. So you don't need to worry too much. Our Black Celestial Realms Black Scale Army exists to fight realms. Moon Monarch and Grey Cloud Monarch won't mess around. Lord Xian Tian smiled. After telling Night Sorrow a few things, Lord Xian Tian left. He had come to make Night Sorrow feel at ease. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei looked at each other and smiled. This kind of situation wasn't a big problem. Night Sorrow, what do you plan to do next? Wu Lingfei asked. My original body will go cultivate in the will of heaven and earth's cave. My clone will go back with everyone. Since they can't pose a threat to the Tianding Gate, the problem isn't serious. Night Sorrow thought about it and said. Wu Lingfei nodded. The danger wasn't big, so she wasn't worried. After resting for a night, Night Sorrow's original body and clone separated. Night Sorrow's original body only brought the reincarnation spear and a simple storage ring. The resources, Spacetime Pagoda, 9 regions origin bead and dragon cauldron were all given to his clone. When they reached the 9 Heavens Tower, Night Sorrow saw that the top 10 people were all there. Even Lord Purple Firmament and King Yu Qiong were there. Since you're all here, let's enter the will of heaven and earth's cave to cultivate. Lord Purple Firmament said. Next, King Yu Qiong, who was standing beside Lord Purple Firmament, stepped forward and explained the situation. The will of heaven and earth's cave was inside the 9 Heavens Tower. As for everyone's situation, the 9 Heavens Tower could tell. When the time came, the 9 Heavens Tower would expel them. After you enter, state your requirements and the will you want to comprehend. The 9 Heavens Tower will naturally arrange it. The rest is up to you. The opportunity is in your hands. Whether you can seize it or not is up to you. Lord Purple Firmament King's body flashed and he disappeared in front of everyone. Okay, you can enter. I congratulate you first. Lord Purple Firmament nodded to Night Sorrow and the other 10 people. Then Xiao Zimo and the others walked towards the Nine Heavens Tower. Night Sorrow followed behind them. As they approached, the Nine Heavens Tower's door opened. Everyone entered the Nine Heavens Tower. After Night Sorrow entered, he found that there was no one beside him. He was the only one standing there. He understood that they were separated by the Nine Heavens Tower. Young man, you're here. You're the champion of the 100 Worlds' first sage ceremony. So, for the next 100 years, you can cultivate in the will of heaven and earth's cave that I separated. What attribute do you want to cultivate? A voice sounded in Night Sorrow's ear. Back to back, Night Sorrow knew that this was the voice of the Nine Heavens Tower. It should be the voice of the Nine Heavens Realm's origin. Actually, I want to comprehend the will of heaven and earth the most. If it's not here, then I can only ask for the next best thing. I want to comprehend the will of time. Night Sorrow said. The will of nothingness can only be found in the Supreme Worlds. The Nine Heavens Realm does not have it. If you want to comprehend the will of time, I can help you. As for whether you can comprehend it or not, that's your problem. Night Sorrow will work hard. Then I'll have to trouble you. Night Sorrow said and bowed. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, the space changed and stabilized. The Will of Time Cave. Night Sorrow was in the Will of Time Cave. Speak. Chapter 1032. C_T. Genius 1 second. Remember love/go/little? I'll provide you with interesting novels to read. Read the full article. Night Sorrow then sat down at the place where the will to accelerate time emanated. The power of desolates he had mastered was to accelerate time. Naturally, he had to start with the will to accelerate time. His main body entered a meditative state and started cultivating. Night Sorrow's clone followed Qian Zhenyu to bring his family and people to Nine Heaven City's teleportation array. Then they teleported to Shantian Heaven City. Shantian Celestial Realm's inter-realm teleportation array was at Shantian Imperial City. Little brother Night Sorrow, you and your family can stay in Shantian Heaven City for a while. There's nothing to do anyway, Qian Xiangwei said with a smile. Then I'll have to trouble you to take care of me, second sister, Night Sorrow said with a smile. He couldn't refuse. Qian Zhenyu and his wife bid farewell to Night Sorrow and left. They knew that it would be inconvenient for the younger generation to talk and interact with them. Qian Xiangwei brought Night Sorrow and the others to her residence. Qian Yu followed as well. After the servants served tea, Qian Xiangwei looked at Night Sorrow and thought for a moment. Little brother Night Sorrow, you're now at the center of the storm. Why don't you stay in Shantian Heaven City? Night Sorrow looked at Qian Xiangwei. He knew that she was protecting him. However, he shook his head. There were rules. Monarch forces couldn't act recklessly. As for fighting Night Sorrow alone, Night Sorrow wasn't afraid. Brother, don't be stubborn. You're still young. There's no shame in avoiding the opponent's edge, Qian Yu said. Thank you. It's fine. The website's pages are clean and there are few advertisements. I love this kind of website. You must leave a good review. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't want to owe anyone. That would be uncomfortable. Seeing Night Sorrow shake his head, Qian Xiangwei and Qian Yu were helpless. This was Night Sorrow's insistence. They couldn't say anything else. How are you going to deal with the grudge with the Tianan dynasty? Qian Yu asked. I don't have the ability to challenge them for now, so I'll just focus on my cultivation first. We'll talk about it when I'm strong enough. I can't let go of this grudge, so don't talk about the big picture, Night Sorrow said to Qian Xiangwei and Qian Yu. Who told you to put it down? It means that whenever you want to fight, give me a shout. I'll go play too, Qian Yu said with a smile. It's still early. They have several kings and I don't have the strength to talk about settling grudges. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Thousand Rose hosted a banquet to entertain Night Sorrow and the others. She also arranged for Night Sorrow and the others to stay. Before resting that night, Night Sorrow told his family about his idea. He wanted his parents and 3 wives to return to the 9 Domains world. They didn't have any status in the Tianding Gate, so it didn't matter where they cultivated. This arrangement is more appropriate, Xueshi said. Night Sorrow looked at Xueshi. Don't even think about asking me to go back. I'm now an elder of the Tianding Gate's Danding Peak. I can't just leave, Xueshi said. Night Sorrow smiled and didn't say anything. At the same time, he felt warmth in his heart. He had originally planned to ask Xueshi and Wu Lingfei to go back, but now he couldn't continue. Xueshi was definitely not staying because she was an elder of the Danding Peak. Being an elder of the Danding Peak didn't conflict with leaving to cultivate. After staying in the Mystic Sky Imperial City for half a month, Night Sorrow said goodbye to Chen Xiangwei and Chen Yu and led the group back to the Tianding Gate. When they arrived at the bamboo forest hut, before Night Sorrow could make any arrangements, Elder Xiang and Yen Huifeng arrived. Elder Xiang, I'm sorry. I got into trouble again, Night Sorrow said apologetically. I've already heard about it. Well done. The Mystic Sky Monarch has already made some preparations and sent word. You don't have to worry. It's a great honor to become the first saint of the 100 worlds. It's something worth celebrating, Elder Xiang said with a smile. When Night Sorrow was a guest at the Mystic Sky Imperial Court, the Tianding Gate received the news. This was extremely exciting news for the Tianding Gate. What did it mean to be the first saint of the 100 worlds? It meant that he was the strongest saint, the strongest person under the king. This was an honor, a great honor. Some people might think that so what if he was the strongest saint? He was still trash in front of the king, but people would laugh to death if they said this. The strongest saint wasn't as strong as the king, but there was a problem that all cultivators couldn't ignore. The strongest saint was the strongest among the saint kings. He was invincible in the same realm. Once he entered the king realm, he would still be able to dominate the same realm. So Elder Xiang already knows. I've offended a lot of people this time. I still have to take precautions, Night Sorrow said. You're right. Actually, the only ones who can become your targets are your family members. It's safer to send your family members back to the 9 regions world, Elder Xiang said. Then I'll go make the arrangements. I'll have to trouble Elder Xiang and the sect leader. Night Sorrow still felt a little apologetic. Don't think too much. It's actually not a big deal. They can't participate in the realm war. As for the one-on-one battles, it doesn't matter. My soul clone is already near the realm teleportation formation in the Mystic Sky Imperial City. We'll know in advance who they send, Elder Xiang said. Seeing that Elder Xiang had made arrangements, Night Sorrow was relieved. Then they chatted. Has your original body entered the will of the heavens cave and started cultivating? Elder Xiang asked. Yes, I've already started cultivating. Night Sorrow nodded. There was nothing to hide. Your comprehension of the will is already not bad. You'll break through if you comprehend a little more, Elder Xiang said. He was looking forward to Night Sorrow entering the king realm. No, it won't be that fast. I didn't comprehend the will of space. I don't think it's worth it. My original body is only 1 point away from entering the king realm. It's too much of a waste to use this opportunity to exchange for 1 point of will. My original body is comprehending other aspects. In other words, the foundation of will that I comprehended previously can be considered as accumulation. Night Sorrow said. Master Knight, why are you messing around? Aren't you neglecting the essentials? Elder Xiang didn't say anything, but Yen Huifeng was anxious. Don't be anxious. You don't know Night Sorrow's situation. He's doing the right thing. This opportunity doesn't come easily. He should cherish it because the will of space can't stop him. There's really no need to waste this opportunity on the will of time. Elder Xiang felt that Night Sorrow's choice was right. One starter v 100 years was a lifetime for an ordinary person, but for a sage king, it was just a small part of 10,000 years. Using 100 years to exchange for a big future, everyone knew what to choose. Yen Huifeng was anxious because he didn't understand Night Sorrow's situation. He felt that Night Sorrow was stupid to give up on comprehending the high-level will of space to comprehend other wills. After Elder Xiang left, Night Sorrow and the people around him started to discuss the arrangements. Let's all go back. I'll stay behind to accompany Night Sorrow. You all need the help of the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda. Don't split into 2 groups. Zhu Jiyun said. Night Sorrow nodded. Today is New Year's Eve. Those brothers and sisters who support Myriad Tao Ascension will be rich and happy. Fortune will come to our house. Fuck you, who am I? The Prophecy Emperor, the visit of the Death God, represents a bloody calamity. Cars and whatnot, you know. Chapter 1033. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/little? I'll provide you with interesting novels to read. Please go to read a book. How about this? Auntie Fei's clone will stay with you. My main body will go and cultivate. Wu Lingfei agreed with Zhu Jiuyun's opinion. Then it's settled. I'll bring everyone back in a while. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. No one objected to Night Sorrow's idea because it was the best and safest way to deal with it. Everyone knew that Night Sorrow valued relationships. Once the people around him were in trouble, he would be in a passive position. Now no one could help Night Sorrow, but they also couldn't drag him down. In addition, Night Sorrow's main body was safe. The one taking care of things outside was also his clone, so it wasn't a big problem. Night Sorrow made his decision. Wu Lingfei crushed the communication crystal of the god-slaying team's leader, Ho Jian, to inform everyone to return. Night Sorrow thought for a while and felt that the members of the god-slaying team needed some time to return. Thus, he made a trip to Big Dipper City and gave a portion of the Spirit Enlightenment pills he refined to Old Zhang in exchange for peak-grade Spirit Stones. He wanted to prepare more peak-grade Spirit Stones, mainly to maintain the Space-Time Pagoda's speed. Night Sorrow had a lot of Spirit Stones. He had obtained a lot in the Boundless Domain. However, he still wanted to prepare more. He wouldn't use the Saint Spirit Stones in the Space-Time Pagoda. After returning to Danding Peak, Yishang waited for a few more days. After waiting for the god-slaying team to return, Yishang stored everyone from the 9 regions world, except for Zhu Jiuyun, Wu Lingfei and Xueshi Soul avatars into the Space-Time Pagoda. He left the Heavenly Cauldron sect and teleported to Bipolar City to enter the Wuji world. Please go to read a book. Yong 9 Geo number 6 free FB reading. FB novel. After arriving at the Wuji world, Night Sorrow thought for a while before meeting Yen Tianpa and Lin Ruoxu. Yen Tianpa, who was drinking tea with Lin Ruoxu in the small courtyard, was extremely happy when he saw Night Sorrow. You brat are ruthless enough. The strongest Sage King is indeed powerful. Uncle Yen, don't make fun of me. I've caused some trouble this time, so Uncle Yen, be careful. If they want to attack the 9-domain world, they will definitely target the Wuji world first. Night Sorrow said. I've become the gatekeeper. Don't worry. My soul avatar will immediately set up camp in 2 Polarity City. Whoever comes to the everlasting world, I'll kill them. Yen Tianpa said. Night Sorrow, since you've obtained the opportunity to cultivate in the will of heaven and earth's cave, does that mean you'll have the opportunity to enter the king's realm? Lin Ruoxu asked hopefully. Yes, there's a great chance. Night Sorrow nodded. 100 years. In at most 100 years, my 9 domains world will have a king. Lin Ruoxu was extremely excited because this would create a precedent for the 9 domains world, a precedent for the 9 domains world to have a king's realm cultivator. I just need some time. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that entering the king's realm wasn't his business, but the 9 domains worlds. After conversing with Yen Tianpa and Lin Ruoxu for a while and drinking a cup of tea, Night Sorrow teleported back to the 9 domains world. After returning to the city in the sky, Night Sorrow felt exceptionally comfortable. He placed the time-space treasure pagoda by the side of the lake and transferred a group of people out. Then he set the boat on the lake and eased the heart mirror. In the 9 domains world, Night Sorrow felt at ease. As long as he was in the 9 domains world, everyone was safe. He was the king of the 9 domains world. He was invincible. He had the ability to protect his family in the 9 domains world. No one disturbed Night Sorrow. They all knew that Night Sorrow was very tired and needed to rest. In the profound sky world, everything was handled by Night Sorrow. Everything was shouldered by Night Sorrow. Not only physically but also mentally. Night Sorrow stayed in the lake for a day before returning to the mansion. Night Sorrow, rest well. It's safe here. Sikong Chuyu said as she pulled on his arm. Chuyu, we've known each other for more than 100 years. I'm really sorry for making you guys worry. 6th senior sister, 9th senior sister, I'm really sorry. Night Sorrow said with some guilt. Night Sorrow, what are you saying? Although there are a lot of things to do, we're living well. We were born in this era. We're a generation that needs to work hard. Sikong Chuyu looked at Night Sorrow with some heartache. She had seen how difficult it was for Night Sorrow to walk step by step. 13, don't say that. We're living a wonderful life. In the past, there were only a few saints in the 9 domains world. Now we're also saints. This is something to be proud of. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said, don't feel pressured. Relax and cultivate. I'll take care of things. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow felt guilty for not giving his family a stable life. Night Sorrow, when your main body comes out of seclusion, rest well. Our family needs children too. Alway looked at Night Sorrow and said. She wanted to do something for Night Sorrow. She also knew that Night Sorrow loved children. It could be seen from how Night Sorrow treated the children in the Saint Hall. Yeah. I also want to have children. Yang Lei's eyes were sparkling. What Qingji was thinking was also what she was thinking. Okay, I know. Night Sorrow nodded. After resting for a night, Night Sorrow left the city in the sky. He planned to walk around. First, Yishang went to the Profound Mysteries realm and the Nether realm to take a look. After taking a look, Yishang was very happy because the two worlds were very peaceful, and the level of cultivators had increased by quite a bit. After returning from the Nether Realm, Night Sorrow went to the Saint Hall. Although he did not manage the Saint Hall, Night Sorrow cared about the development of the Saint Hall. When Night Sorrow arrived at the Saint Hall, he saw many familiar faces. Long Xianxing, Xian Wenxiu, Shang Luo and Heavenly Underworld Saint were all there. Jun Xuanji, Taishu Yan and Lu Qin were also there. In addition, the first batch of Saint Hall students were also there. A few days ago, the Saint Hall had accepted a new batch of students. Today they were holding a mobilization meeting. Seeing Night Sorrow appear, everyone was very surprised. They had not seen him for a long time, nor had they received any news of his return. Long Xianxing and the others cupped their hands towards Night Sorrow. Jun Xuanji, Taishu Yan, and Lu Qin also bowed towards Night Sorrow. "Uncle." Ning Yun and July both called out. July's eyes were filled with tears. "Brother?" Yin Yan smiled with joy. "And is everyone okay?" Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He was very happy to see this group of people. "Everyone is fine. It's just that everyone misses Big Brother." Yin Yan smiled as she walked over to Yishang's side and pulled on his arm. "Uncle, Chiwe misses you." Chiwe couldn't control her tears and they started to fall. "Don't cry. You are all sovereigns, experts. You can't be like this." Night Sorrow stepped forward and hugged July, patting her back and said, "Uncle said that you are July's relative. It's not shameful for July to cry in front of Uncle." July shook her head and said, Chapter 1034. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love go/small? Shoan.net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Quick update, the website is refreshing and has few advertisements. I like this kind of website the most. You must give it a good review. What are you all standing there for? Quickly greet the hall master. Ning Yun shouted at the new students. At this time, Ning Yun was already a mid-level venerable, and he looked very handsome. "Greetings, hall master." All the students of the Holy Hall, former students and current students, bowed to Night Sorrow. "Ning Yun, don't scare the children." Night Sorrow nodded to Ning Yun. "Uncle, you still haven't accepted a disciple?" Ning Yun asked in a low voice. "Not yet. You and July will follow me to cultivate." Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. "Thank you, Uncle." Ning Yun nodded happily and so did July. "Ning Yun, are you stupid?" Taishiyin glared at Ning Yun. Disciple greets master." Ning Yun reacted after hearing Taishiyin's shout and knelt down to greet him. "Get up." Night Sorrow raised his arm and helped Ning Yun up. "July, what about you? Hurry up." Jun Xuanji shouted at the hesitant July. "Uncle, you have always been the person July respected the most in her heart, and you are also her family. Will this change after you become my disciple?" July looked at Night Sorrow. "It won't change. It will never change. No matter what, I will always be your family." Night Sorrow nodded. He was also touched because July had always valued this feeling in her heart, and he had neglected it. Waiting. CC updates quickly, the website is refreshing and has few advertisements. I like this kind of website the most. You must give it a good review. Disciple July greets master. July also knelt down to greet him. "I have been busy all these years, so I have not been able to take good care of all of you," Night Sorrow said as he helped July up. "This is really a happy occasion. The day after tomorrow is an auspicious day," Long Xianxing said after calculating for a moment. "Then let's hold the ceremony the day after tomorrow," Xian Wenxiu suggested. "All right, when the time comes, everyone will go to the city in the sky." Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't like these etiquettes, but some etiquettes were unavoidable. After that, Night Sorrow chatted with Long Xianxing and the others for a while and told them about his situation in the heaven profound world. "The world outside is too complicated. You have to be careful. It's really a case of people eating each other." Long Xianxing lamented. "Seniors, martial uncles, City Lord Lu, if you want to cultivate you can go to the Spacetime Pagoda. I have already placed it beside the lake in Sky City," Night Sorrow said to them. Taishiyin and the others nodded. Night Sorrow then asked Taishu Yan in bewilderment why he didn't see any of his senior brothers. "It's like this. Yesterday was the day when the Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony began. They all returned to the Medicine Valley," Taishu Yan said. Night Sorrow nodded. Because he was busy, he hadn't asked about the Medicine Valley for a long time. After making an appointment with everyone to meet in the city in the sky the day after tomorrow, Night Sorrow left the sacred hall and went to the tea house next to the sacred hall. As soon as Night Sorrow arrived at the tea house, Chin Chin appeared with his wife beside him. Brother, sister-in-law. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and greeted them. Come in. Chin Chin happily invited Night Sorrow into the tea house. Then, without making tea, he directly called his wife to find wine. He had waited for many years for Night Sorrow to call him brother. The two of them didn't speak and drank a few bowls of wine each. Has Chen Hua come back? Night Sorrow put down the wine bowl and asked. Yes, he comes back to see us once a year. Our second brother and his younger brother were also brought by him to cultivate together. Chin Chin nodded. That's good. You're living more comfortably than me. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Seeing that Chin Chin and his wife were living a stable life, Night Sorrow was also very happy. V forever H forever R phi caret watch D small plus talk. Don't you have children yet? Chin Chin asked. He knew that Night Sorrow had several wives. Not yet, but I plan to accept a disciple the day after tomorrow. Are you going to attend the ceremony? Father Gu is also in the city in the sky, Night Sorrow asked. After listening to Night Sorrow's words, Chin Chin nodded. Night Sorrow recognized him as a brother and Night Sorrow accepted him as a disciple. There was no reason for him not to go. Night Sorrow left after drinking a jar of wine with Chin Chin. Strolling around Dongshan City, Night Sorrow felt a little emotional. Dongshan City had changed too much. It had become much more prosperous, but the people were still so simple. In front of the teleportation array, Night Sorrow looked at the Tianji Tower branch not far away. The scene of the first time he came to Dongshan City still flashed in his mind. After that, Night Sorrow teleported to Danding City. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow did not go to Medicine Valley but teleported to Zhiyuan City. When he arrived at Zhiyuan City, Night Sorrow was stunned because the scale of Zhiyuan City today was comparable to Danding City. Greetings, Commander. The city lord of Zhiyuan City, Zhang Ling, bowed to Night Sorrow. He was originally patrolling, but he only confirmed it after looking at Night Sorrow because it was too rare for Night Sorrow to appear. Zhiyuan City is built so well? This isn't worth it, right? Night Sorrow said. This is the Valley Master's idea. Every year, many cultivators enter the vast wilderness to train, and many people come here because of its reputation. They want to see the commander's old residence, so Zhiyuan City strengthened its construction. Zhang Ling bowed and replied. Night Sorrow could also understand that this was the change. After sending Zhang Ling away, Yi Shang returned to the old bamboo house. He saw Yi Wuqiu in the bamboo house. Uncle, why are you still here? Didn't you go back to Night Moon? Seeing Yi Wuqiu, Night Sorrow was very surprised because he felt that after Yi Qianhua left, Yi Wuqiu and the others should have returned. The family wants me to go back, but I still want to accompany my old brother and look after this courtyard for the young master. Also, I can cultivate in peace, Yi Wuqiu said. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood that Yi Wuqiu was a sentimental person and was unwilling to leave. Night Sorrow took out the dragon spirit pill and a few spatial crystals. Uncle, you can cultivate in peace here. You will achieve something. After Yi Wuqiu took the resources, he bowed to Night Sorrow. He was very grateful. This was equivalent to having the resources to cultivate to the peak of the Venerable Realm. After leaving Zhiyuan City, Night Sorrow went to the Medicine Valley. The Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony was still in progress. There were many young people who wanted to enter the Medicine Valley, and the ceremony could not be completed in 1 or 2 days. Night Sorrow stood in the middle of the audience and saw Gong Xian sitting in the main seat of the Medicine Valley's higher-ups. Night Sorrow nodded. As time passed, everyone's lives had changed. At this moment, Night Sorrow had the ability to return to his original state. He stood there like an ordinary person and Gong Xian and the others could not discover him. After watching quietly for a while, Night Sorrow walked forward, intending to greet his fellow disciples because today's apprenticeship ceremony was about to end. As soon as Night Sorrow walked forward, some people were unhappy. Young man, can you not block the view? Without cultivation, what's the point of looking? No matter what, you have to have some foundation. Hurry up and go to the back. A big-bellied merchant said. Chapter 1035. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/small? Show.net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Read the full article. It was not Night Sorrow's character to be yelled at. It was also embarrassing. However, there was also a problem if he continued to walk forward. That was, he would be out of tune with the surroundings. Reveal his identity? That would be making a mountain out of a molehill. However, at this moment someone saw Night Sorrow. It was Elder Su, who was originally guarding Danding Cliff. Get out of my way. Elder Su left his seat and walked towards Night Sorrow. When he arrived in front of Night Sorrow, Elder Su bowed. Greetings, Grand Elder. Elder Su, you don't have to do this. Night Sorrow is a junior. Night Sorrow reached out to help Elder Su up. At this moment, Gong Xian and the others had arrived in front of Night Sorrow. 13, you're back. Gong Xian and the others were very happy to see Night Sorrow because they hadn't seen each other for a long time. Yes, I'm back. I just wanted to take a look at the front. This made people unhappy and disturbed the continuation of the apprenticeship ceremony, Night Sorrow said embarrassedly. What? Peak Master Tang continued to host the apprenticeship ceremony. Let's go. Gong Xian pulled Night Sorrow and led the other junior brothers towards Taishan Peak. You're awesome. For many years, no one has spoken to Night Sorrow in Medicine Valley like this and even asked him to go to the back. Other than you, no one else has done this. Tang Chanshan looked at the merchant angrily. Night Sorrow was the sign of Medicine Valley. He was the pride of Medicine Valley and also the glory in the hearts of everyone in Medicine Valley. Everyone was very unhappy that Night Sorrow had been yelled at. You are not allowed to appear near the mountain gate of Medicine Valley in the future. Lin Jingyi pointed at the merchant and gave the order. Lin Jingyi, who had reached the Venerable Realm, was now an elder of the Medicine Valley. Since Lin Jingyi had given the order, the law enforcement disciples of the Medicine Valley naturally expelled the merchant. Night Sorrow didn't mind this kind of thing, but the other people in Medicine Valley minded it very much. In the Medicine Valley you can say that other people are bad. That's not a problem. But if anyone dares to say that the Commander-in-Chief is bad, that's not allowed. Tang Chanshan said. Night Sorrow didn't know what happened at the gate of Medicine Valley. When they arrived at Taishan Peak they chatted and drank together. Gong Xian and the others were very happy to know that Night Sorrow was going to accept a disciple. Tomorrow our Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony will be over. The day after tomorrow we'll go to the city in the sky, Huanan said. We all have a lot of disciples. You really should accept a disciple. Gong Xian nodded at Night Sorrow. After drinking more than 10 jars of wine with Gong Xian and the others, Night Sorrow, who was a little dizzy, returned to the city in the sky. He's drunk after going out for a while. Who is it? Yang Lei said with some dissatisfaction. She didn't like others to make Night Sorrow drink. Haha, it's eldest senior brother and the others. We drank to our heart's content. Night Sorrow took the teapot and poured a cup of tea. That's right. Yang Lei nodded. They were not only Night Sorrow's senior brothers, but also her senior brother and junior brother. Then Night Sorrow told his parents and wife about his decision to accept a disciple. No one objected. Night Sorrow was the lord of the 9 regions. He could not have a successor. While Night Sorrow was chatting with his parents, Night Moon's emperor also came to the city in the sky. Night Sorrow's seniority in Night Moon's dynasty was low, but his status was high. Even the emperor respected Night Sorrow. Yi Tian also came. After Night Sorrow saved him, the two hadn't interacted much. After exchanging some pleasantries, Night Sorrow looked at Yi Xinyue and asked about Yi Qianhua's situation. The old ancestor is cultivating in the family's land. Usually he won't be seen. He only comes out once a year to see his parents in this life. His younger brother in this life is accompanying him. Yi Xinyue said. Night Sorrow nodded. If Yi Qianhua's life was fine he would feel at ease. Then Yi Linghuan also asked about Night Sorrow's situation in the profound sky world. He told Night Sorrow that if he felt that it was time to fight with the Tiannan dynasty, the Yi family could go to war. With the 9 regions world being completed, the 9 regions world's origin strengthened the display of laws in the Sea of Night Moon. Now there were 2 more saints in the Night Moon. Yi Lingxie and Yi Xinshan had already become saints. The other paragons also had a chance to enter. This situation made Night Sorrow very happy because this was his family. Of course, in the battle with the Tiannan dynasty, saints were useless. After Night Moon's people left, Night Sorrow went to the lake and drank a jar of wine with Tianyu and Yi Mei. 13th brother, I'm sorry. I still can't keep up with your pace. Tianyu said apologetically. Tianyu, what are you talking about? It's not good to be like this. Let's not talk about other things. Let's drink. Night Sorrow said. When they knew that Night Sorrow was going to take in a disciple, they were very happy. 13th brother, we call you 13th brother. Then when you take in a disciple, we have to call you martial uncle. Yi Mei said with a smile. As she grew up, Yi Mei was now an adult woman. Her every frown and smile was full of charm. Moreover, she was already a mid-level saint. Yes, when I don't have time, you two have to guide them well. Night Sorrow smiled at Yi Mei. Ning Yun and Chiyue are good children. 13th brother, I still remember when we lived in Qingxing courtyard. The simple Ning Yun brought us a lot of happiness. Tianyu said. Night Sorrow nodded. He had always liked Ning Yun. He also liked Chiyue's simplicity. The other two's talents were also relatively high. After resting for a night, Yi Shang went back to the lake on the second day. When he came back at night, Yi Shang was stunned because the city in the sky was full of people. Everyone he knew and had interacted with before was here. The apprenticeship ceremony was held in the god-slaying team's martial arts field. Night Sorrow's mansion couldn't accommodate so many people. Yi Shang's gift to Ning Yun and Chiyue was a sacred-level weapon and a defensive armor for each of them. After the apprenticeship ceremony, it was time for everyone to drink and chat. Night Sorrow also talked to Ning Yun and Chiyue. He asked if the two of them were going to the mysterious heaven world. If they were going, he could guide them in their cultivation. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Ning Yun and Chiyue were very happy. Originally, they wanted to go to the mysterious heaven world to take a look. However, they didn't dare to ask. Now that Night Sorrow asked, they were naturally willing to follow. Following that, Night Sorrow told everyone that he was going to return to the mysterious heaven world. He couldn't stay in the 9-domain world for too long. Night Sorrow had offended the Tsangyun monarch and the Demon Moon monarch. Naturally, he couldn't disappear at this time. That would be the same as running away. What? I'm here. When Night Sorrow left, Sikong Chuyu and the other girls were very reluctant. However, they knew that Night Sorrow had important things to do. He couldn't stay in the 9-domain world for too long. Sitting in the teleportation array, Night Sorrow brought Ning Yun and Chiyue to the Tianding Gate. In the small building in the bamboo forest, Night Sorrow saw Elder Xiang talking to Zhu Juyun and Wu Lingfei's clones. You're back. These two young people aren't bad. Elder Xiang greeted. Elder Xiang, they are the disciples I just accepted today. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 1036. Not bad, two good seedlings. Old Xiang nodded. I've known the two of them for many years. I accepted them as disciples mainly because of their resolute and honest nature, Night Sorrow said. Yi Shang said. In fact, Yi Shang had accepted Ning Yun and Chiyue as his disciples not because of their talent, but because he wanted them to live a good life. By the way, I've already told Elder Zhu about Danding Peak's disciple recruitment. In addition, Danding Peak can have priority in selecting a batch of people during the annual disciple recruitment ceremony. Old Xiang said. Is that appropriate? Don't let the other peaks be dissatisfied. Night Sorrow said. No, Danding Peak is newly established. The sect must support it. Everyone understands this. Old Xiang shook his head. After a while, Old Xiang left. Ning Yun, Chiyue Master's place is a little more difficult because Danding Peak is newly established. You two should find a place to live. Night Sorrow said to Ning Yun and Chiyue. Master, don't worry. We're not children. Ning Yun said with a smile. Yi Shang nodded. He knew that Ning Yun and Chiyue's experience wasn't low. They had been training frequently these past few years. In the following days, Night Sorrow refined pills and weapons every day while guiding Ning Yun and Chiyue in their cultivation. Even when Night Sorrow was busy, Zhu Juyun, Wu Lingfei and Xueshi would guide Ning Yun and Chiyue in their cultivation. Night Sorrow, you're a Saint King grade weapon refiner. Why don't you refine Saint King grade weapons for them? Saint artifacts are the ones that should be given as a disciple. Xueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said. Treasures arouse the envy of others. With their current cultivation they can't go out with Saint King grade weapons. Night Sorrow glanced at Xueshi and said. I didn't think it through. Xueshi understood Night Sorrow's meaning. Ning Yun and Chiyue were shocked because the highest grade weapons they had come into contact with were Saint artifacts. In the 9 regions world they could only forge high-grade spirit artifacts. But their master could forge Saint King grade artifacts now. Don't be surprised, your honored master is not only a Saint King grade artifact refiner, he's also a Saint King grade alchemist, Zhu Jiuyun said to Ning Yun and Chiyue, who were both in a daze. You two. Why are you telling the children these things? Yi Shan glared at Zhu Jiuyun. Master, in addition to cultivating true energy and battle skills, can we also cultivate alchemy and artifact forging? Asked Chiyue. That's fine. This is also a way to cultivate your soul power. Tell me what you want to learn after you've thought it through. In addition, guiding you in your cultivation is your master's personal matter. If you want to cultivate alchemy or artifact forging, you must join the Tianding Gate because that is the inheritance of the Tianding Gate, Night Sorrow said. That's not a problem. Senior brother, what do you plan on cultivating? I'll choose the remaining ones, Chiyue said while looking at Ning Yun. Refining weapons is a rough job. It's not suitable for you. I'll cultivate in refining weapons. Junior sister, you can cultivate in alchemy with master, said Ning Yun. Then Night Sorrow brought the two of them to the main hall of Danding Peak. Yu Yangyu presided over the ceremony for them to join the sect. The two of them also paid their respects to their grandmaster, Yu Yangyu. With the support of pills, Yu Yangyu was now working hard to comprehend the laws. Night Sorrow prepared some saint crystals for the people of Medicine Valley. As for whether they could comprehend it or not, it was up to fate. Then Night Sorrow brought Ning Yun and Chiyue back to the bamboo grove. Ning Yun and Chiyue built a bamboo house to live in next to the Tranquil Heart Villa. Night Sorrow's life was very quiet. His clone couldn't cultivate the basics or comprehend the intent. He could only work on his support skills. The finished products of alchemy and artifact forging were handed over to Elder Zhang in Big Dipper City to manage and earn some profit. Elder Zhang's Heaven Do shop was very popular now because the pills, weapons and armor sold were all of the best quality. In addition, after communicating with Night Sorrow, the Heaven Do shop also accepted the forging of Saint Monarch weapons and Saint Monarch pills. In other words, cultivators could customize them. Of course, the price of custom-made pills and weapons was higher. Night Sorrow went to the Heaven Do shop again. Elder Zhang asked Night Sorrow to wait because someone wanted to customize a weapon. While Night Sorrow was drinking tea, Elder Zhang brought a middle-aged man and a woman into the VIP building. The middle-aged man was wearing a long robe with long hair. The most special thing about him was that he was barefoot. The woman had an agile aura. Seeing the two of them, Night Sorrow stood up because he couldn't see through the man's cultivation. He was obviously king. First saint of 100 worlds, strongest Saint Monarch, Night Sorrow. The man in the long robe sized up Night Sorrow and said, "Night Sorrow greets Sir King." Night Sorrow cupped his fist to the young man. "There's no need for formalities. I'm Big Dipper and this is my youngest daughter. She doesn't have a suitable weapon right now, so I want to customize one," Big Dipper said. He was the overlord of Big Dipper City, Big Dipper Sovereign. "Tell me, King. If possible, I won't delay Night Sorrow." Night Sorrow said, "I have seen the weapons you forge. The quality is not bad, not worse than the weapons made by those old guys, so I don't want to trouble others. Also, my daughter has 3 attributes. A Saint Monarch weapon with 3 attributes is not something ordinary people can forge." 7-Star King explained to Night Sorrow. After glancing at the woman beside 7-Star King, Night Sorrow nodded. A wind, water and fire triple attribute weapon. The difficulty lies in the compatibility of the water and fire attribute spirit arrays. Perhaps I can give it a try, but I have never forged such a weapon before. Fine. If you fail, I won't say anything. I'll pretend that nothing happened. If you succeed, I'll give you a mansion in Big Dipper City. There's also a big shop next to it. It's also yours, Big Dipper Sovereign said. Hashtag 7-Star King, don't worry about trouble, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Trouble? Ah, you are a smart man. Trouble and benefits are relative. If I can help you solve your problem, I will also leave a Saint Monarch alchemist and artifact refining grandmaster in 7-Star City. 7-Star King laughed after hearing Night Sorrow's words. After the first sacred ceremony of the 100 Worlds, ordinary people didn't know the details, but 7-Star King knew. As he paid attention, 7-Star King learned about Night Sorrow's situation. At the same time, his daughter just happened to need a weapon, so he had an idea. Many thanks for 7-Star King's appreciation, Night Sorrow said. There are some things I still need to tell you. This king doesn't doubt that you can enter King's realm. Whether it is the Demon Moon realm or the Sky Dome realm, this king will deal with as much trouble as he can. However, if you have a conflict with the South Sky Dynasty, don't live in 7-Star City. This king doesn't like infighting, so he doesn't want to have any conflicts with anyone from the profound heaven world. 7-Star King stated his principles. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood that 7-Star King was a man of principles, but Night Sorrow wasn't someone without principles. He wasn't willing to accept a favor for no reason. Speak. Chapter 1037. I'll accept the forging of this weapon. Just leave behind the requirements and the blueprint. I don't need anything else. I, Night Sorrow, am not a troublemaker and I don't want to be one. Night Sorrow expressed his attitude. It's good for young people to be persistent. Bei Xing tell him the requirements. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Big Dipper King was stunned for a moment before nodding to his daughter. The woman, who was brimming with spirit energy and wearing a white female battle suit, handed Yi Chang a blueprint and a storage ring. The style and requirements are on this. The 2 sets of materials are in the storage ring. I only know how to use 1 set of materials. If it succeeds, then it's a success. If it fails, then it means I'm not capable enough. I'll be back in half a month. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Big Dipper King and Bei Xing. Then he left a jar of good wine for Elder Zhang and left. My lord, this guy is a person with character. He won't easily accept the kindness of others. Elder Zhang said. He's only a little over 100 years old. It would be strange if he didn't have a character. Housekeeper Zhang, continue to pay attention to this matter. After saying this, Big Dipper King left the Heaven Dough shop with his daughter. Then, with a few flashes, they arrived at a picturesque courtyard in Big Dipper City, the Big Dipper Manor. This was his residence. Why, father, he's a problem. Bei Xing said after brewing a pot of tea. It's a problem, but it's not a big problem. First of all, my lord is protecting him. The Tianding King of the Tianding Gate and Yen Tianpo of the Wuji realm are standing by his side. Regardless of whether it's the Moon Demon realm or the Grey Cloud sect, they can't make a move on a large scale. Moreover, he obtained the honor of being the first saint of the 100 realms for the Profound Sky World. As the king of the Profound Sky World, I should do something. Big Dipper smiled at his daughter. A half-step king at his age is indeed worthy of attention. The main thing is that he has a bright future. It's just that this guy won't accept this kindness. Bei Xing smiled. It's normal that he won't accept it. How can a courageous and dignified cultivator easily accept the kindness of others? Let's see if he can refine a satisfactory weapon for our family's baby in half a month's time. Big Dipper King said with a smile. No matter which world it was, the monarch was the core. The will of the monarch was respected by all monarchs. The sovereigns wouldn't care about the conflicts in their world, but if there was trouble or danger in their world, whoever turned a blind eye to it would incur the sovereign's disgust. Every sovereign didn't want to be bothered by others. Moreover, every sovereign had the ability to see the big picture. If their world's reputation was lost, then no one would be proud. Of course, there were exceptions. Night Sorrow took the materials and blueprints back to the bamboo grove and began to research. This was not an easy task. If it was easy, Big Dipper King would have arranged for someone to do it a long time ago. If it wasn't for the clone in the heaven-sealing Great Hall raising its cultivation to the Saint King level, he wouldn't have dared to take it. Now he still had some confidence. Night Sorrow first took out his ordinary materials to refine. He wanted to test the compatibility of the spirit array. Night Sorrow designed 3 types of spirit arrays: the Feng Shui compound array, the wind and fire compound array, and the most difficult one, the water and fire dual array. Night Sorrow used 3 days to refine a tri-attribute spirit artifact. The spirit arrays were perfectly integrated. It was just that the materials were low-grade, so the result was a spirit artifact. Night Sorrow knew it was enough. He changed to high-grade materials and refined it according to the method used to refine spirit artifacts. Night Sorrow, the spirit artifact you refined is of little value, Wu Lingfei said as she poured Night Sorrow a cup of tea. Yes, it is of little value to ordinary people, but this is custom-made by King. Night Sorrow smiled and told her about his meeting with Big Dipper King. Rope him in? Wu Lingfei asked the question in her heart. It's possible, but whether it's the Grey Cloud sect or the Demon Moon world, if they touch me, it would be like slapping the Sky Profound World's face. Sky Profound World's king wouldn't be willing. However, I refused. I don't want to owe anyone a favor. I don't want to be burdened with debt. Night Sorrow said. But the idea of a shop is not bad. Even if you don't want his shop, you can set up your own. After all, you are an alchemist and an artifact refiner. You can use this to make a living and earn cultivation resources, Zhu Jiyun said. Zhu Jiyun said. All cultivators knew that regardless of whether it was alchemy or equipment forging, the profits they could make were huge. That's a good idea. You can never have too many resources. In any case, we can't cultivate. It's not bad to open an alchemy and artifact refinement shop. Night Sorrow also had this idea. After that, Night Sorrow worked hard. He used 6 days to refine the Saint Ruler artifact that Bei Xing wanted. Bei Xing's father was a king, so he brought high-grade materials. Night Sorrow was able to refine a high-grade Saint Ruler artifact. This was the highest-grade weapon Night Sorrow had ever refined. Holding this shining sword, Night Sorrow was very satisfied. He believed that Bei Xing would also be satisfied. After all, king artifacts were hard to come by. A high-grade Saint Ruler artifact was a top-grade weapon. After resting for a few more days, Yi Shan arrived at the Heaven Do store with the weapons he had refined. At that moment, Old Zhang and Bei Xing were talking in the Heaven Do shop. Old Zhang used to be the housekeeper of Big Dipper King's courtyard. Now, he was helping Big Dipper King with his business and collecting information. When Night Sorrow arrived, Old Zhang and Bei Xing came out of the VIP room. "Teacher Night, how is it?" Old Zhang asked with a smile. "How should I put it? It depends on whether Miss Bei Xing is satisfied or not." Night Sorrow took out the sword he had refined and placed it on the table in front of him. Looking at the shining sword, Bei Xing's eyes lit up. It was exactly the same as the blueprint she had drawn. She held the sword in her hand and waved it a few times. Bei Xing was very happy. "Not bad, it's much better than I expected. I thought a low-grade Saint Ruler artifact would be enough. Being able to refine a mid-grade Saint Ruler artifact was already beyond my expectations. I didn't expect Teacher Knight to refine a high-grade Saint Ruler artifact. As long as Miss Bei Xing is satisfied, that's good. Here are the remaining materials." Night Sorrow put the spatial ring Bei Xing had given him on the table. "I'm satisfied, very satisfied. The materials are yours. Also, you can take over the shops and mansions my father promised," Bei Xing said as she studied the Saint Ruler artifact in her hand. "I can take the shops and mansions, but the remuneration is a bit high. I can take out some Holy Spirit stones to make up for the difference." Big Dipper City was the core city of the Big Dipper Sovereign King's forces. The shops and residences in the city were all very expensive. The value of a single shop was very high. "Why doesn't this weapon have a name?" Bei Xing asked after looking at the sword. "Then what name do you want?" "I can refine it now," Night Sorrow said. He had made it according to the blueprint, and there were no other requirements. Not every refiner will have their own signature when they make a satisfactory product. "This sword doesn't have your name on it," Bei Xing said. Sixth update. Yes, this year will have a perfect ending. Next year we will conquer the world again. Please give me a red packet for the new year. Chapter 1038. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/small? Show.net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Almost all the books you want to read are here. It's much more stable than the average website and updates faster. There are no advertisements. I believe that you will become a great master in the future. Come, your work must have a name, Bei Xing insisted. Master Knight, this is a tradition. It's also a form of respect for master blacksmiths, the elder nodded. Bei Xing then gave the sword a name, Clear Moon Sword. Night Sorrow carved the words Clear Moon Sword on the sword and carved the word Shang on the inside of the handle. Enemy Shang, not bad, Night Sorrow said after finishing. Thank you, Master Knight. Now come with me to take over the shop, Bei Xing said after putting away the sword. I will buy the shop. Just give me a discount. Old Zhang, after I start the business, I will also provide the resources here. Please don't mind, Night Sorrow said. Enough for you to buy? Are you not going to give our Big Dipper City some face? A man should be more straightforward. This is not the style of the strongest holy king, Bei Xing glared at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and nodded. He could take over the shop. As for the future, he would think about it later. After all, he had helped Bei Xing forge a high-grade holy king weapon. Changing to a small shop was not too much. Night Sorrow then realized that his idea was a bit ridiculous. The shop that Bei Xing wanted him to take over was not a small shop at all. It was a large shop with 4 floors. The location was also very good. How is it? Are you satisfied? Bei Xing stood in front of the shop called Treasure Hunting Pavilion and asked Night Sorrow. This is not appropriate, Night Sorrow shook his head. First, release why, there is nothing inappropriate about it. Big Dipper City belongs to my family. You helped me forge a holy king weapon and I give you a shop. If you don't accept it, you are looking down on me in Big Dipper City, Bei Xing said to Night Sorrow. Is this really okay? Night Sorrow felt a little helpless. This Bei Xing was too domineering. However, this was also normal. Bei Xing had an overlord-class father. Bei Xing was also right. This Big Dipper city belonged to him. Very suitable. This place will be yours from now on. The mansion at the back was originally mine and now it's yours. As for whether you can manage this shop well, that's your problem. The people here were all recruited by me in the past. North Star brought Night Sorrow into the treasure hunting pavilion. After entering the treasure hunting pavilion, Night Sorrow was also absent-minded. This was because the situation was beyond his expectations. How about this? I'll leave all the resources and people to you. I'll look after this place and I'll take 30% of the profits, North Star said after thinking for a while. Then you can have 40%. Otherwise I'll turn around and leave, Night Sorrow said. I really don't know what to do with you. It's decided then. North Star could tell that Night Sorrow didn't want to take advantage of him. If he insisted, Night Sorrow would really leave. Then, North Star gathered everyone in the treasure hunting pavilion and announced that the treasure hunting pavilion had a new owner. She also announced that she still had a share of the profits. Then, North Star asked Night Sorrow to say a few words. Night Sorrow nodded. I'm an alchemist and also a blacksmith. However, I'm not a businessman. So, this place will be the same as before. The only difference is that this place will sell some Saint King pills and Saint King weapons. Old Sheen, you're a businessman. As for the future arrangements, you can plan it out and then ask Master Knight, North Star said to an old man. After the matter was settled, North Star brought Night Sorrow to look at the mansion at the back. Because North Star had shares in the treasure hunting pavilion, Night Sorrow didn't have anything to worry about. He also accepted the mansion. When they came to the shop again, North Star suggested that the treasure hunting pavilion change its name. Night Sorrow didn't care much about this. North Star thought that it should be a new atmosphere for newcomers, so he named it Celestial Master Pavilion. After North Star left, Night Sorrow returned to the Tianding Gate and told Wu Lingfei, Zhu Jiyun, and the others about the situation. This is not bad. A foundation and resources are always needed. Wu Lingfei was very happy for Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow went to the main peak and didn't see Old Xiang. He greeted Yen Huifeng and told him that if there was anything, he could find him at the Celestial Master Pavilion in Big Dipper City. At the same time he also greeted Yu Yangyu and the others. Then he brought his people to Big Dipper City and stayed at the Celestial Master Pavilion. The next day, Night Sorrow found that the name of the shop wasn't very suitable. Because only alchemists and blacksmiths of the king level could be called Celestial Masters. But the name was already called and the signboard was hung, so he couldn't say anything else. Then Night Sorrow gave some of his high-grade pills to Steward Chin and placed them in the shop. Then he took some materials from the shop's warehouse and refined some mainstream Saint King weapons. Like this, the shop had a brand. In addition, Night Sorrow also said that he would accept custom-made pills and weapons of the 8th order and below. The profit from accepting custom-made items is quite good. 3 sets of materials for 1 finished product. The profit margin is quite high. Old Chin said excitedly. He didn't expect the new owner to be so amazing. Don't set the price too high for now. When a new shop opens, reputation are very important. The profit can be a bit lower or even no profit. Old Chin, you can arrange it as you see fit, Night Sorrow said. Old Chin happily went to arrange it because this was a big brand. In the profound heaven world there were some Saint King level alchemists and blacksmiths, but they all had their own specialties. But Night Sorrow was now accepting orders from all sides. It was impossible not to remember his reputation. When Bei Xing came again, he saw that the entrance of the Celestial Master Pavilion was full of people. They were all looking at the signboard and discussing because the price of custom-made weapons and pills of the Celestial Master Pavilion was very low. It was unprecedentedly low. Everyone was studying the materials in their hands. If they had enough, they would consider custom-made pills and weapons of the Celestial Master Pavilion. Passing through the Celestial Master Pavilion, Bei Xing arrived at the mansion where Night Sorrow was resting. At this time Night Sorrow was refining pills. He was refining the 5-spirit pill. After all, there was a large group of saints entering the Saint King level. The 5-spirit pill required a large amount of space. He nodded to Xueshi, indicating for her to receive the guests. Night Sorrow continued to refine the 5-spirit pill. After he finished refining and washed his face and hands, Night Sorrow returned to the tea table. Bei Xing, this is Jiuyun Xueshi and this is my Aunt Fei. Bei Xing is the other boss of the Celestial Master Pavilion. Bei Xing, you've done well. There are a lot of people watching outside. Your reputation has spread. After others try the things you refine, your reputation will also increase. It's impossible for business to not be good, Bei Xing said excitedly. As long as you can do it well. As the boss, you can also sit and wait for spirit stones and resources to come to you. Night Sorrow said. Business here used to be average. Now that you're here, there won't be any problems. Let's go. I'll treat you to a big meal. Bei Xing said. Alright. Then we'll go and have a meal with you. But you're a scammer. How can you call the Celestial Master Pavilion so casually? We don't have king-level alchemists and blacksmiths. Night Sorrow glanced at Bei Xing and said. Chapter 1039. Not for now, but you can in the future. Besides, no one will dare to mess with us, so you don't have to worry. Which business doesn't have a big name? It represents hope and longing, North Star said with a smile. Night Sorrow could only smile. Then they went to the biggest restaurant in Big Dipper City. Don't worry, this place is also mine, North Star said after entering the restaurant. Alright, we're not familiar with this place, so you can order. I don't have any other requests. Good wine, give me some good wine, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Alright, these sisters aren't familiar with this place either. I'll take the order. Then, North Star ordered a table full of dishes and 2 types of wine. This was Big Dipper City's #1 restaurant. The wine and dishes were top-notch. Night Sorrow also liked the wine very much. Seeing that Night Sorrow liked the wine here, North Star called the manager over. This is my friend. Bring some wine over. Since he's here to eat, I'll settle the bill. Alright, since you're rich, I won't refuse, Night Sorrow said. You'll definitely be rich in the future, North Star said with a smile. After they finished eating, they left the restaurant. Before they left, the manager handed Yishang a storage ring. Naturally, it was filled with good wine. After leaving the restaurant, Night Sorrow returned to his mansion and continued refining pills and tools. Wu Lingfei and Zhu Jiyun guided Ning Yun and Qiyue, who had followed him, in their cultivation. After refining more pills, Night Sorrow suddenly smiled. Why are you so happy? Shueshi asked. Look at this for free. My main body has comprehended something. I've already found the way to comprehend the will of time. Next, I'll gain something, Night Sorrow said with a smile. How long has it been? You've already found the way? Zhu Jiyun was shocked. You don't know how many spirit comprehension pills I've prepared for my main body. Night Sorrow was in a good mood. This is related to the spirit comprehension pills. It's mainly because you have the ability. You don't have to worry about anything from now on, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. The comprehension of will was very important. If one couldn't find the entrance to comprehending will, then no matter how hard they worked, they wouldn't gain anything. However, it was different once one had grasped the right path. Once one grasped the right path, their hard work would be rewarded. No matter how fast or slow one comprehended it, as time passed, there would be results. Knowing that his true body had gained something, Night Sorrow continued to refine pills and forge tools. He was also full of energy. The tyrannical power of the time attribute surpassed the will of space. In space-time, time was ranked before space. While Night Sorrow was busy, some people also made a move. The Tsangyun monarch was infuriated when his direct descendant was killed by Night Sorrow during the grand ceremony of the 100 World's first sage. No matter what kind of power it was, a half-step king was very important. They were considered the backbone of the power, and once they entered the king realm, they would be able to support the rise and fall of the power. Tsang Wuxiang was the outstanding talent of the Tsangyun sect's new generation. He was the future. However, he was killed by Night Sorrow on the stage. Not only did this destroy a talent of the Tsangyun sect, but it also fiercely slapped the Tsangyun monarch's face. This was something he couldn't tolerate. Because of the rules, the Tsangyun sect couldn't start a war with the profound celestial realm. However, he couldn't tolerate this. He then gathered the upper echelons of the Tsangyun sect. Monarch, let's declare war and directly kill that Night Sorrow. The current sect master of the Tsangyun sect, Tsang Qingyuan, said. The Tsangyun monarch nodded. We don't have much of a chance of winning in a large-scale battle. Moreover, it's not suitable to make a big move. Let's carry out a revenge battle within the rules. I don't care how you arrange it. I just want that little bastard's head. Tsang Qingyuan then appointed Tsang Wuzue of the Tsangyun sect to be in charge of this matter. Tsang Wuzue was a 2-star king. Although Tsang Wuzue was a 2-star king, he was very famous in the Tsangyun sect. He had faced a 3-star king without losing. On this day, Night Sorrow was refining pills when Elder Xiang came. You have to be careful. The other party is making a move. Elder Xiang said. Which side is it? Someone was targeting him. Night Sorrow had expected this. However, he wasn't sure if it was someone from the Moon Demon Realm or the Tsangyun sect. It's the Tsangyun sect's Wuxia King. He's a 2-star king and controls the will of wind and fire. Elder Xiang said. A 2-star king is not a threat to our Tianding Gate. He can't pass through the Wuji realm either. He can't threaten the 9-domain world. Night Sorrow wasn't worried about a 2-star king. The Tsangyun sect doesn't want to start a war between factions. Their operation this time is only targeting you. Not many people know that you're here. They shouldn't be able to find this place. Therefore you should be safe. Elder Xiang said. Besides a few people around me and my master, no one else knows that I'm here. Night Sorrow said. It's not hard for them to find out about the situation at Danding Peak. Since they can't see you, they'll naturally think of Danding Peak as a breakthrough point. Now that my main body is guarding Danding Peak, as long as the people there don't go out, they won't be able to do anything. Since he's messing around in the Tianding Gate, I have a reason to kill him. He's not a fool. Elder Xiang said. Then I'm relieved. I'll have to trouble Elder Xiang about Danding Peak. Night Sorrow said embarrassedly. After all, he was the one who caused this mess. All right. Be careful. I'll go back first. Elder Xiang was here to inform Night Sorrow to be prepared. After Elder Xiang left, Night Sorrow thought about it. He felt that there shouldn't be any loopholes. Since he couldn't break into the 9-domain world or Danding Peak, then the only loophole was him and the people around him. From today onwards, don't go out. Safety first. Only a few people know that we're here. As long as we're not discovered, we'll be safe for a while. Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei and the others nodded. They knew that the situation was dire. What's the matter? Why are you so nervous? Bei Xing asked the silent people after arriving at Yishang's residence. It's nothing. How do you have time to come here today? Night Sorrow asked. I'm different from you. Your main body cultivates while your clone has other pursuits. My main body cultivates while my clone has nothing to do, so he comes here to take a look. Business is really good. But I don't believe you. Tell me what's going on. Bei Xing looked at Wu Lingfei and the others. All right then. In a moment you explain the situation to the store. I'll talk to Elder Zhang and try not to reveal my whereabouts. The Grey Cloud sect has already made their move, Yishan said after thinking for a moment. You don't have to worry about it. I'll tell the store and Elder Zhang. I'll also ask my senior brother to come to Big Dipper City. This isn't a place where they can mess around. Bei Xing nodded to Night Sorrow and left Night Sorrow's residence. Speak. Chapter 1040. She has a bad temper. Night Sorrow was a little speechless. This had nothing to do with Bei Xing, but Bei Xing was serious. She has a straightforward personality and can be considered a good friend, Shueshi said. Night Sorrow nodded. He also knew this. Bei Xing didn't have the temperament of some rich people. In this regard, Night Sorrow was very impressed with the upbringing of the king of the heaven mystic world. Qian Zhenyu and his wife were both kings and had monarchs above them, but their children were not arrogant at all. The same was true for the Big Dipper King, which could be seen from Bei Xing. Of course, some exceptions were inevitable. Shang Jingchun and Shang Jingxian were examples, and so was Tsang Wushang. However, the result was not good. Tsang Wushang was now dead because of his arrogance, and Shang Jingxian was also slapped in the face by Night Sorrow. Although he knew that the Grey Cloud sect was moving, Night Sorrow was still the same. He refined pills and weapons every day, and only rested when the goods in the Celestial Master Pavilion were all ready. For now, Night Sorrow still couldn't fight with the big forces. He wasn't a king, and whether it was the Grey Cloud sect or the Demon Moon realm, they were all monarch-level forces. There were many kings under their command, which could be seen from the strength of the Tiannan dynasty. There were 3 known kings in the Tiannan dynasty: Shang Tianfeng, Yuan Qianba, and Gong Yanglai. Night Sorrow wasn't sure if there were others who hadn't shown up yet. What Yishang needed was time. For now, he had to endure and wait for his main body to cultivate. When his main body had comprehended and entered the Sovereign King realm, Yishang would not be afraid of opponents who were 3 levels higher than him. Not to mention whether they could fight, it would be impossible for them to kill him. Night Sorrow had his own considerations. When he hadn't comprehended the power of will, Gong Yanglai couldn't kill him even if he wanted to. With the will of space at 90% will, he was confident that he could fight Gong Yanglai. Once he entered the king realm with the time attribute, he would have no problem fighting a 2-star king. Time slipped away bit by bit. Night Sorrow's days were still very stable. When there were custom pills and weapons he would work. The rest of the time he would rest. Ning Yun and July often went out to gain experience so no one knew them. As for safety, Night Sorrow had told him to do what he could. Although Night Sorrow missed his wife and parents very much, it was not the right time to move. If he moved, it might cause some trouble and he would not be able to live a stable life anymore. In the blink of an eye, 5 years went by. On this day he had just finished concocting a furnace of medicinal pills. Night Sorrow's body shuddered and the aura emanating from his body began to change, bringing with it a hazy aura. It was a change in the flow of time. After 5 years of bitter cultivation in the Will of Time cave, Night Sorrow's comprehension of the Will of Time had entered 70%. This was because his main body had woken up from his meditation. Night Sorrow's clone had felt the change and felt it. "What's going on with you?" Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. "My main body has woken up from his meditation. I have comprehended 70% of the Will of Time. I am now a half-step king," Night Sorrow said. "Then you are now a dual attribute half-step king?" Zhu Jiyun said with some excitement. "Yes, now I have something to do. Although I can't cultivate the basics, I can cultivate combat skills that combine the time and space attributes." Night Sorrow was indeed very bored now. Besides concocting some medicinal pills and weapons, he had nothing to do. Following this, the women prepared a table of food and wine to celebrate for Yi Shang. This was incredibly rare, and it could be said that Yi Shang had once again opened up a bright path for himself. This time, Night Sorrow drank a little too much. He was happy in his heart. With 2 types of will in his body, he believed that he had the strength to contend with a beginner king. In the following days, besides concocting medicinal pills and refining tools, Night Sorrow began to cultivate combat skills. He cultivated Heavenly Wilderness Absolute Kill, Space Slash and Space Rend. Bei Xing often came to chat with Night Sorrow and the others. Their friendship gradually deepened. "Night Sorrow, there seems to be something wrong recently. The people from the Ashen Cloud sect can't find you. They seem to be in cahoots with the Sky South dynasty. The Sky South dynasty once again issued an arrest warrant for you. This is definitely not a coincidence. They are colluding with each other," Bei Xing said when he came to Night Sorrow's place to drink tea again. "When I had a conflict with Sky South dynasty Shang Jingxian on the stage, the people from the Ashen Cloud sect knew about it. Therefore they couldn't find me. It's normal for them to ask the Sky South dynasty for help," Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. "Trash. The internal grudges of the profound sky world can be resolved internally. Since you're doing this, I'll go and investigate further. You guys can continue living here peacefully. Also, I've already instructed the Heavenly Star restaurant to deliver banquets every night. Don't go out." Bei Xing left after speaking. Update: Noon Nude Fastest. The situation is getting more and more serious. I don't know how much time it will give us. Night Sorrow exhaled and said. "Then how long will it take for you to enter the king's realm?" Zhu Jiyun looked at Night Sorrow and asked. "I don't know. The will of time is more difficult than the will of space. The speed will be slower. However, I will definitely be able to do it within 10 years. Night Sorrow said. "I hope you can hide for another 10 years. As long as you enter the king's realm, the situation will change," Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded. As long as he entered the king's realm, his strength would increase greatly. The elementary king's realm would no longer be afraid. In the past, Elder Xiang would sometimes come to Night Sorrow's place to talk to Night Sorrow. However, after the Sky South dynasty intervened, Elder Xiang stopped coming. The main reason was that he didn't want to give others a chance to follow him. Of course, the possibility of him being discovered was very low. However, in the Great Thousand World, there were some races with average strength that were good at tracking and stalking. On this day, Wu Lingfei smiled and nodded at Night Sorrow. "Aunt Fei, why are you so happy?" Night Sorrow asked after concocting a cauldron of spirit enlightenment pills. "My original body has broken through and entered the 7-star Saint King realm," Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Night Sorrow congratulated her and also asked about the situation in the 9 regions world. After asking, he found out that his parents' and wife's cultivation had increased greatly. This was because after entering the Saint realm, they could enjoy the time acceleration of the time pagoda and their cultivation speed would increase greatly. Zhu Jiyun had also entered the peak Saint King realm half a year ago. However, because someone knew her, Night Sorrow didn't let her come to the Sky Profound world to comprehend. Night Sorrow guessed that there were already people from the opponent monitoring the 2 extreme city. "You can rest assured about the matters at home. The clone has been successfully condensed. Everything is fine. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. That's good. Everything is fine at home. We are also working hard outside. Give me more time. Night Sorrow took a deep breath. You don't need to be anxious. Now that we are here, they won't be able to find out anything. Therefore everything is fine. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded. He still hoped that his original body could quickly comprehend. Chapter 1041. Zhang Wuzue was furious. After receiving the order from the sect, he had been searching for Night Sorrow in the profound sky world. If he could kill Night Sorrow and complete the mission, he would be valued by the Zhangyun monarch. However, it had been 5 years and he couldn't even find Night Sorrow's shadow. How could Zhang Wuzue not be angry when killing a clone was so difficult? Everyone knew that Night Sorrow's main body was cultivating in the Nine Heavens Tower. The Zhangyun monarch's plan was to kill Night Sorrow's clone first, but it was useless now. After failing to find Night Sorrow and bribing the disciples of the Tianding Gate, Zhang Wuzue reported the situation to Zhang Qingyuan. Zhang Qingyuan thought for a moment and wrote a letter, asking Zhang Wuzue to discuss cooperation with the Tiannan dynasty. The Tiannan dynasty, who had planned to kill Night Sorrow, immediately agreed. They sent out people to search for Night Sorrow while continuing to hunt him down. The only genuine one, the rest were stolen copies. The Tiannan dynasty's actions made many people feel disgusted. They were like a dog that bit people in its nest. Night Sorrow was still very stable. If you can't find him, I'll continue to do business and hoard resources. In any case, my main body is still cultivating. At this time, the Big Dipper King and Bei Xing arrived at Night Sorrow's mansion. Night Sorrow was refining the 5-spirit pill. After calling Zhu Jiyun to receive the guests, Night Sorrow continued to refine pills. Father, our Celestial Master Pavilion's business is booming. The cultivators of the surrounding big forces all know that the Saint King pills and Saint King tools produced by our Celestial Master Pavilion are of top quality, Bei Xing said with a smile. And, to be able to refine the weapon in your hand, his attainments in the field of arrays are also at the Saint King level, so there is no problem with the quality of the Saint King tools, the Big Dipper King said with a smile. All-round talent, is this an all-round development? Bei Xing said with some surprise. Big Dipper King looked at Night Sorrow and nodded. At this moment, he had been observing Night Sorrow all this time because he could see the changes in Night Sorrow. It's rare for Big Dipper King to come here. Fortunately, I have some good tea here to entertain you. Night Sorrow took out the heart-cleansing tea and brewed a pot. Your original body has already gained insights? Big Dipper King asked. Yes, but I'm still trying to comprehend it. Night Sorrow nodded. That's still not right. I'm not trying to get to the bottom of this. I'm just curious, do you have 2 types of will now? Big Dipper King asked. Yes, before the first Sage Conference of the 100 Worlds began, I had already comprehended 90% of the will of space. At that time, I forcefully stopped. This time, after entering the will of heaven and earth cave, I didn't want to waste this opportunity, so I stopped comprehending the will of space and went to comprehend another will of heaven and earth. Night Sorrow hesitated for a moment and didn't hide it. Big Dipper King's style of doing things was principled. Night Sorrow knew this and felt that Big Dipper King wouldn't have any devious thoughts. You can stop 90% of the will of space. Apart from you, I don't know who else can do it. Now that the flow of time around you has changed, you should be comprehending the will of time. I have to admit that I'm impressed. Big Dipper King looked at Night Sorrow and nodded continuously. Many people couldn't restrain their desire to enter the king's realm, but Night Sorrow had done it. Many times in life we are faced with choices. A momentary gain or loss is nothing. Night Sorrow poured a cup of tea for Big Dipper King and said, The fact that you can tell me this shows that you don't treat me as an outsider. Calm down and cultivate. I want to see what kind of waves they can stir up. Big Dipper King made a decision in his heart. He had to protect Night Sorrow. Thank you, Lord King. If there is really trouble, I will run. When I have the strength, I will deal with them one by one, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Ah, you are right. Life should be straightforward. Good tea. Big Dipper King said with a smile after taking a sip of tea. After chatting with Night Sorrow for a while, Big Dipper King left Night Sorrow's place with his daughter. The sky is changing, Big Dipper King said as they walked on the street. I don't quite understand what father means. North Star shook her head. Night Sorrow has 2 high-level wills of the world. Any one of them can allow him to show disdain for those of the same level. He can fight and kill opponents of a higher level. Now that he has entered the king realm, it will be difficult for anyone to kill him. Helping father on his path forward will be good for your future, Big Dipper King said as he patted the back of his daughter's head. He is indeed very strong. Northstar also admired Night Sorrow. Without a backer, it was very difficult for him to reach his current level. His outlook on life is very righteous. He is not an evil person. He is a very good friend. Don't think about benefits in your heart. Try to get along with him wholeheartedly. This will be of great help to your future, Big Dipper King said to his daughter. Inside Night Sorrow's mansion, Night Sorrow was chatting with Wu Lingfei and the others. This Big Dipper King is a very righteous person, Zhu Jiyun said. Yes. To be able to raise such a righteous daughter like Northstar, this means that there is no problem with his outlook on life. Night Sorrow nodded. In that case we can still stay here peacefully for a while. Under the king's watch, the other party will not be able to act recklessly. They will also not be able to use their big moves to find us, Shueshi said. Our days are stable now. If we are discovered we can't hide here. I will find another place. It won't be easy for them to find us even if we want to hide, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Wu Lingfei and the others nodded. If Night Sorrow wanted to hide now, it would be very difficult for others to find him. Without any signs, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate. Every day he would concoct pills, forge weapons and cultivate battle skills. On this day, after Night Sorrow finished his cultivation, Northstar came to drink tea. Boss Northstar, I haven't been here for a few days. Night Sorrow smiled and waved his hand. Hee. You are the boss. Northstar looked at Night Sorrow with disdain, sat down, and poured himself a cup of tea. Northstar then told Night Sorrow that people from the Demon Moon world had also entered the Sky Profound world to investigate his background and so on. These bastards are here too. They are really shameless. I feel that the Demon Moon Monarch is the most shameless. His own people are not a match for him and he still wants to fight, Shueshi said. Big fist and shameless. You can be considered as the invincible type. Your days won't be good if you continue like this. Northstar said. Then what can I do? If there is no other way, I can only hide deep in the mountains and forests and not come out, Night Sorrow said. What a useless idea. I have a backup mansion. If the other party comes here you guys can go to my mansion. Would they dare to search my mansion? I don't believe it. Northstar looked at Night Sorrow and said. Then how can I repay you? Night Sorrow asked. Don't talk about repayment. That's not interesting. What do you think I lack? Northstar looked at Night Sorrow and said. You have King as your father. What do you lack? Night Sorrow muttered. You idiot. It's not like I don't have armor now. Northstar shouted at Night Sorrow. On the first day of the new year, Night Sorrow bowed to all the fans of Myriad Daos Ascension. Thank you for your support for Myriad Daos Ascension in the past half a year. I wish you all the best in the new year and have a happy family. Chapter 1042. Alright. Night Sorrow glanced at Bei Xing as he took out the blueprint. Then wait a moment. I haven't decided yet, Bei Xing said with a smile. Night Sorrow nodded helplessly. Bei Xing said that he needed armor so he had to refine it. After all, they were friends and did not care about benefits. After Bei Xing left, the people of the Heavenly Star Pavilion delivered the food to the Celestial Master Pavilion. The waiters of the Celestial Master Pavilion delivered the food to Night Sorrow's residence. This was arranged by Bei Xing, mainly because he did not want Night Sorrow's identity to be exposed. After eating and chatting with Wu Lingfei and the others, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate his spacetime attribute battle skill. As the people of the Moon Demon Realm joined the investigation, they discovered that Night Sorrow was last seen in Big Dipper City. After Tsang Wuzue appeared in Big Dipper City, he was stopped by a sloppily dressed man. Who are you? Why are you stopping me? Tsang Wuzue asked the sloppily dressed man. Why am I stopping you? This is Big Dipper City, my master's territory. Who are you? How dare you barge in? The sloppily dressed man said as he ran his fingers through his hair. I am Tsang Wuzue of the Sky Dome Realm's Ashen Cloud sect. I am here to look for someone, Tsang Wuzue said as he cupped his fists. I only know Boundless Mountain in the Sky Dome Realm. Go back to where you came from. Big Dipper City does not welcome you, the sloppily dressed man said impatiently as he waved his hand. Is that necessary? I am here to look for someone. Tsang Wuzue's expression changed. This sloppily dressed man was stronger than him. Looking for someone? Big Dipper City does not welcome the sovereign king. Others can come as they please, I don't care either. However, the sovereign king cannot come. The sloppy man directly ordered the guests to leave. Song Wuzue hesitated for a moment before leaving. He could not act strong. If he insisted on entering Big Dipper City, there would be a battle. A conflict between king and king would lead to a war between the two factions. Who do you think you are to be so arrogant in our Big Dipper City? The sloppily dressed man also left and went to the Heavenly Star restaurant. Third senior brother, you've come? Bei Xing, who was drinking tea in Tianxing building, said. I'm here. I just chased away a fly. However, junior sister, you promised third senior brother that you'll give us enough good wine, the sloppy man said with a smile. Of course, senior brother, you can drink if you want in the future. Besides, when have I ever been short of third senior brother's wine? Bei Xing pulled the scruffy-looking man's arm and said. The sloppy man looked no different from a beggar, but his reputation in Big Dipper City was extremely high. His name was Greedy Wolf King. Third senior brother has seen that kid. Master didn't make a mistake. He's a very good young man. Greedy Wolf King followed Heavenly Star into a private room to drink. After Tsang Wuzue left Big Dipper City, he met with Yuan Qianba. Hearing Tsang Wuzue's words, Yuan Qianba was a bit worried. Big Dipper King was not someone to be trifled with. Sky South Dynasty did not have the strength and they were not as strong as Big Dipper City. The problem is that Night Sorrow is very likely to be in Big Dipper City. Now that they're blocking us, we can't use force, Yuan Qianba said. This is a stalemate. It's useless to send out peak Holy Kings and half-step King level Holy Kings. No one is a match for him. Tsang Wuzue sighed. Night Sorrow was the strongest Holy King. He was the strongest person below King level. If the king did not come to Big Dipper City, it would be useless to meet Night Sorrow. Your Grey Cloud sect is using a one-on-one revenge method. Since Big Dipper City is blocking us, you can go back and ask the Grey Cloud Monarch to step in. Yuan Qianba thought for a moment and gave Tsang Wuzue some ideas. Tsang Wuzue nodded. This was the only thing he could do. After hearing Tsang Wuzue's report, the Grey Cloud Monarch's eyes were filled with coldness. Alright, I'll take you there. Let's see who dares to block us. The Grey Cloud Monarch thought for a moment and made a decision. When the Grey Cloud Monarch and Tsang Wuzue came out of the World Teleportation Array, an old man in a brocade robe appeared in front of them. It was the Black Heaven Monarch. Grey Cloud, you've crossed the line, the Black Heaven Monarch said coldly. It's not that I've crossed the line. It's your profound sky world that doesn't abide by the rules. Wuzue wants to go to Big Dipper City but they stopped him. Isn't this inappropriate? My Grey Cloud sect only sent a 2-star monarch. This is within the rules. Now that your monarch has interfered, we will continue to send people, the Grey Cloud Monarch said. Go back to your Grey Cloud sect. I'll take care of things here. Remember, if you dare to touch anyone other than Night Sorrow, I won't let your people go back alive, the Black Heaven Monarch said coldly. The Grey Cloud Monarch snorted and left on the teleportation array. He came to open the path to Big Dipper City. It was against the rules for the Big Dipper City King to block the way. Afterward, the Grey Cloud Monarch called Qian Zhenyu and told him to inform the Big Dipper King not to interfere with the Grey Cloud sect's entry. However, if anyone broke the rules in Big Dipper City, they would be killed immediately. Inside Big Dipper City, Qian Zhenyu told the Big Dipper King about his intentions and the Black Heaven Monarch's intentions. There's nothing we can do. Tell the Monarch that if it doesn't work, we'll just fight. Don't think we're afraid of them, the Big Dipper King said. Forever P free hashtag it's true. We're not afraid, but the consequences of fighting are too severe. Let's not fight with them for now. We just need to protect Night Sorrow, Qian Zhenyu said. Night Sorrow is indeed in Big Dipper City. I'll think of a way to protect him. However, the Sky South Dynasty is too hateful. Aren't they betraying us? The Big Dipper King said angrily. We'll talk about them after this matter is resolved. They really have no bottom line. Qian Zhenyu was also very angry. Okay, then we'll wait for the monarch's arrangements. The Big Dipper King nodded. After sending Qian Zhenyu off, the Big Dipper King went to Night Sorrow's mansion. Without saying anything, he wrapped Night Sorrow in energy and left the mansion. A moment later, he brought Night Sorrow to his courtyard. Lord Monarch, what happened? Night Sorrow asked. The problem is a little serious. Some time ago, my disciples stopped the other party's king from entering Big Dipper City. As a result, they said that Big Dipper City broke the rules. The Tsangyun Monarch came personally. If I stop them again, a war would be inevitable. A war wouldn't benefit anyone, so we can only take a step back. They can investigate Big Dipper City if they want to. You just stay here with me, the Big Dipper monarch explained to Night Sorrow what had happened recently. Then it's not appropriate for me to stay here. If it doesn't work out, I'll leave. I'll go back to our small world and let them do what they want, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. You can't go back now. Their people should already be in Two Polarity City. The Demon Moon Realm and the traitorous Sky South Dynasty must have thought of this. You just stay here. Who would dare to investigate my lair? The Big Dipper King said with a smile. Chapter 1043. Just stay here. They won't be that bold. Bei Xing has also appeared. She was very happy to see Night Sorrow and the others. Then I'll have to trouble Big Dipper King. Night Sorrow will remember your help today. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Big Dipper King. You and Bei Xing are friends, so you're naturally my junior. It's only right that you take care of her. If I shrink back today, how am I supposed to face my heart in the future? Am I supposed to regret my decision every day and night? Big Dipper King looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that this was Big Dipper King. Big Dipper King patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and said, It's true that the current world of cultivators is a mess, but no matter what others do, we should all have a beautiful pure land in our hearts. If you want to thank me, then take care of my immature daughter. Big Dipper King patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. Lord King, you're exaggerating. I've met many of your disciples. Not only does Miss Bei Xing not have an arrogant aura, she's also very generous. Night Sorrow said with a smile. That's good. You youngsters can continue chatting. I still have some matters to take care of. Remember, if you hear the sound of wind chimes, it means that someone is investigating. You must immediately hide. After giving his instructions, the North Star Sovereign left. Come, let's go to my place. It's usually empty and quiet. It'll be lively with you guys here. Bei Xing pulled Wu Lingfei and led them to her courtyard. She then called for the servants to prepare tea for them. I'll help you refine a defensive armor in the next few days. Night Sorrow said. There's no rush. You're here as guests. Bei Xing said with a smile. Night Sorrow, the manor doesn't occupy a large area. If the other party uses their soul power to investigate carefully, they'll find something. Wu Lingfei said. This is really a drawback, but there's nothing we can do about it. Let's wait until they dare to investigate. Bei Xing said. But if we are discovered, it will bring trouble to your father. I wonder if it would be convenient for me to set up an isolation array here? Night Sorrow asked. Sure. Not being discovered is good for everyone. If you are discovered, it will be troublesome for my father. North Star nodded. After that, Night Sorrow began to set up the 1000 Development Illusory Formation. At this moment, Night Sorrow had already changed the 1000 Development Illusory Formation. It was a peak Saint King formation. After setting up Night Sorrow, he clapped his hands. Everyone stay alert. As long as you hear the wind chimes, you can throw your spirit stones into the ground. The array will instantly activate and isolate us from detection. Bei Xing was very surprised. Although she heard from her father that Night Sorrow could refine a Saint King weapon, he must be a Saint King formation master. But Night Sorrow's speed in setting up the array was too fast. Although she didn't know the effect, there was no doubt about it. After that, Night Sorrow asked Bei Xing for the armor blueprint. Originally, Night Sorrow wanted to help Bei Xing refine the armor with his own materials, but Bei Xing had already prepared the materials. Looking at the blueprint that Bei Xing took out, Night Sorrow first used ordinary materials to refine a spirit armor. After the experiment was successful, Night Sorrow began to refine the armor. Bei Xing took the spirit armor that Night Sorrow had refined first and studied it. It took a lot of time to refine a high-grade armor. Yishang used 7 days to refine a high-grade Saint King artifact armor. After Bei Xing took the armor and recognized it as its owner, she put it on. The silver armor suited Bei Xing very well. You have 3 attributes and the armor also has 3 attributes. As for how to use it, that's your problem. Night Sorrow said. With that, Yishang picked up the test piece of armor on the table and threw it into the crafting furnace. What are you doing? Bei Xing stretched out her arm and caught the armor in her hand. A spirit armor is useless. This armor is not suitable for others to use. It's better to break it down into materials. Night Sorrow said. What a wastrel. This is a spirit armor. I'll keep it. Bei Xing put the spirit armor into her storage ring. It's not convenient for me to go to the Celestial Master Pavilion now. Go take a look and see if there are any custom orders. Bring them back for me to refine. Also, collect the space iron and time purple sand. Night Sorrow said to Bei Xing, "Why do you collect the space iron and time purple sand?" "I think I have time purple sand in my warehouse." Bei Xing thought for a moment and said, "I also want to make an armor for myself. I need materials that are compatible with my attributes. But it's too difficult." Night Sorrow said, "Okay, I'll arrange it." Bei Xing said and left. Night Sorrow, how is the original body's comprehension going? Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow. The original body is still comprehending. Because the soul power is all comprehending, it can't synchronize with the clone. I don't know what it is. Night Sorrow shook his head. Don't worry. We should be safe here. I don't think the people of the Grey Cloud sect are brave enough to come to Big Dipper King's place to investigate. Zhu Jiyun said. Night Sorrow nodded. Big Dipper King wasn't the new king. He was the leader of a force. Some new kings wouldn't dare to mess around. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, Bei Xing returned. Here. This is the time purple sand I found in my warehouse. I don't have any spatial essence iron. Also, here are the blueprints and materials for custom-made weapons. Bei Xing placed a few items on the table. Night Sorrow opened a bag and saw that it was filled with thumb-sized purple stones. This was the time purple sand that Bei Xing had mentioned. It was an extremely precious material. Bei Xing, this isn't appropriate. Night Sorrow said. Did you ask for compensation for refining my armor? Did I mention anything about compensation? Now that I've pointed out the materials, you're saying it's not appropriate? Do you think of me as a friend? Bei Xing looked at Night Sorrow angrily. Fine. Don't be angry. I'll take it. I'll take it, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Friends don't bicker about this. However, we won't be able to eat a big meal. The Sky South Dynasty's lackeys, Moon Demon World's people, and Grey Cloud Sect's people have all arrived at Big Dipper City. It's best to be careful. Don't worry. We just eat to find a feeling. As for cooking, they can do it too. Night Sorrow said with a smile. It's just that I feel a little aggrieved. These people are too hateful. They can't even afford to play. What happened at the first sacred ceremony of the 100 Worlds, and now they're swaggering around to take revenge. Their faces have been eaten by dogs, Bei Xing cursed angrily. It's fine. Let them do what they want. I'll settle this account with them. However, I don't have the strength right now, so I have to endure, Night Sorrow said. Good attitude. Let's not talk about the Grey Cloud sect and Moon Demon World for now. Sky South Dynasty must be dealt with. They're too despicable. I've never seen such despicable people. Their king has also arrived at Big Dipper City. It can be said that they've already shed all pretense of cordiality, Bei Xing said. Chapter 1044. If they do this, won't they become the public enemy of the Sky Profound World? Night Sorrow asked. V Genuine First Release. The Emperor of the Sky South Dynasty didn't show up. When the time comes, he can say that his subordinates acted on their own. After the other party retreats, who can find trouble with them? You don't have the ability, and the other forces aren't willing to fight to the death with them. If they fight to the death with the Sky South Dynasty, they will also suffer great losses. This is the Sky South Dynasty's plan. Bei Xing analyzed for Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and knew that the truth was just as Bei Xing said. Indeed, no one was willing to fight to the death with the Sky South Dynasty. Not the Tianding Gate, not the Big Dipper City. After all, the Sky South Dynasty had several kings. My father also told me that the old emperor of the Sky South Dynasty is a very upright person. His cultivation is also a high-level king's. However, the Sky South Dynasty is different from before. If anyone wants to touch the Sky South Dynasty, they have to consider the old emperor. Bei Xing told Night Sorrow some unknown things. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that the old emperor of the Sky South Dynasty was Yi Qianhua's grandfather. He was a very famous king in the Sky Profound World. At the same time, Night Sorrow also understood that he didn't have any backing or background. It was rare for someone to be willing to protect him, so the Sky South Dynasty wasn't worried that someone would stand up for Night Sorrow. You still have to work hard. When you enter the king's realm, the situation will change and they will be afraid. Bei Xing said. Strength. Night Sorrow understood that everything depended on strength. With strength, everything would change. After that, Night Sorrow continued to forge, forging the custom-made list that Bei Xing gave him. Right now, the Celestial Master Pavilion was very famous and had a good reputation. It had a great reputation in the surrounding regions. In the Sky Profound world, there were some kings, but Saint Kings were the mainstream of cultivators, so there was a great demand for Saint King's tools. Refining a normal Saint Ruler artifact was different from refining weapons and armors for Bei Xing. It wasn't as complicated. Night Sorrow could refine one every 3 to 4 days. Once it was done, Night Sorrow would hand it over to North Star. Normally, when customizing weapons and pills, the ratio is 3 sets of materials for one finished product. However, alchemists and blacksmiths have the possibility of failure. If they fail twice, their efforts will be in vain. If they fail 3 times, they will have to compensate the other party with materials. Although you are only accepting 2 sets of materials, it is still a steady profit, Bei Xing said with a smile. It's all right. Since there's nothing else to do, let's just store up more resources. Night Sorrow nodded. Night Sorrow's life was relatively quiet. He earned a large amount of resources from alchemy and refining tools. In addition, Night Sorrow also cultivated his combat skills every day. The power of his absolute kill of Heavenly Wasteland had greatly increased. With the support of the Will of Time, the power of the technique's time acceleration was on a completely different level from before. Night Sorrow's greatest achievement during this period of time was his movement technique. The Will of Space could cut through space and block space, while the Will of Time could increase the flow of time. This greatly increased his speed. At this time, Big Dipper City was already in a state of chaos. Various forces had swarmed into the city, but there was still no news of Night Sorrow's whereabouts. Song Wuzue and Yuan Qianba had searched every possible place in Big Dipper City, but there was still no trace of Night Sorrow. Afterward, they thought of a place that they had yet to investigate, Big Dipper King's Big Dipper Manor. However, they didn't dare to go to the Big Dipper Manor. Big Dipper King was a veteran king. If they angered the king, they wouldn't have a good ending. According to the revenge rules, no one was allowed to participate. Even Big Dipper King couldn't participate. If they did, it would be a battle between forces. The Celestial Realm had no intention of starting a battle between forces. However, if someone went to Big Dipper King's manor to provoke him, they would die in vain. Regarding this point, the Songyun monarch couldn't say anything. The king's dignity couldn't be blasphemed. Even he couldn't change this fact. General Yuan, how should we deal with this matter? Right now, only the Big Dipper Manor hasn't been searched. In addition, according to our information, Night Sorrow was last seen in Big Dipper City. He hasn't been seen leaving since. In addition, Big Dipper King stopped me from entering Big Dipper City. This means that Night Sorrow is in Big Dipper City, Song Wuzue said. But if we go to Big Dipper King's Big Dipper Manor to investigate, it will be a provocation. Not only will we cause trouble, but we will also be in the wrong. Yuan Qianba was still somewhat afraid. He was a king, but his king and Big Dipper King weren't on the same level. Whether it was in terms of status or strength, they weren't on the same level. Greetings. You go to his mansion to pay a visit and investigate while you're at it, Song Wuzue stated his opinion. No, you have to have the same status to pay a visit. I will report to the Emperor and let the Emperor pay a visit to Big Dipper King. This is reasonable, Yuan Qianba said. He didn't have the qualifications to pay a visit to Big Dipper King. Big Dipper King wouldn't give him face. He didn't even have the qualifications to enter Big Dipper Manor. Song Wuzue nodded. Yuan Qianba didn't say it directly because he was afraid of losing face. He was a king, so he wasn't a fool. Naturally, he knew what was going on. At this time, Big Dipper King was also somewhat prepared. His junior brother Big Dipper King and disciple Big Dipper King were both in Big Dipper City. It was fine if no one messed around, but if someone messed around, then the result would be a war. Yuan Qianba returned to Tiannan Dynasty and reported the situation to Shang Tianfeng. Shang Tianfeng didn't say anything. He kept thinking. If it was an ordinary enemy, he wouldn't pay attention to it. However, Night Sorrow was different. The Yi clan and Tiannan Dynasty were mortal enemies. If Night Sorrow grew up, then he would definitely fight to the death with Tiannan Dynasty. In the past, Shang Tianfeng didn't care much about it. However, he couldn't ignore it now. Night Sorrow was a half-step king with high-grade willpower. Once he entered the king realm, he would be a great threat. Now was the opportunity. Killing a soul doppelganger wasn't a big deal under normal circumstances. After all, it wasn't the main body. However, it was different now. If Night Sorrow's soul doppelganger fell at this time, then it would directly hurt the soul of the main body. Even if the main body was in the cavern, it would be difficult for it to comprehend anything. Fine, I will go to Big Dipper City and pay a visit to Big Dipper. I want to see if Night Sorrow is there or not. However, this can be considered as offending him too much. Shang Tianfeng said. When Shang Tianfeng stepped out of the teleportation array, he was stopped. It was the second king of Big Dipper City, the North Pole King. What business does Overlord Shang have in my Big Dipper City? The North Star Lord looked at Shang Tianfeng coldly. It's like this. I have some matters to discuss with Big Dipper King. Please lead the way, North Pole King, Shang Tianfeng said. It's not that you can't see my senior brother. However, remember this. You people from Tiannan Dynasty have to behave yourselves in my Big Dipper City. Once you cross the line, you can't go back, the North Star Lord said. I won't do that. Please rest assured, Brother North Pole. I'll have to trouble Brother North Pole to notify me, Shang Tianfeng said. The North Pole King sized Shang Tianfeng up, but he didn't say anything. Chapter 1045. After thinking for a while, the North Pole King brought Shang Tianfeng to the Big Dipper Manor. He didn't know that Night Sorrow was in the Big Dipper Manor. The king only asked him to guard the teleportation formation and pay attention to the new king. Shang Tianfeng came to see the Big Dipper King. The North Pole King felt that it was reasonable. After all, Shang Tianfeng was the emperor of the South Sky Dynasty. When Shang Tianfeng arrived at the Big Dipper Manor, he naturally spread out his soul power to investigate. As soon as he did, the sound of wind chimes rang out. The moment the wind chimes rang out, Night Sorrow threw spirit stones into the ground and activated the Thousand Derivation Illusionary Formation. Shang Tianfeng, what are you doing? The North Pole King was a little angry because Shang Tianfeng had gone too far. The wind chimes in the Big Dipper Manor were special treasures. As long as one's soul power touched them, they would ring. Under normal circumstances, unless one's perception was exceptionally strong and could sense that others were probing, it would be very difficult for the formless soul force to detect them. This was also the reason why Beidou Sovereign King had set up a defensive probing treasure. I'm just checking to see if the Big Dipper King is here. Shang Tianfeng was a little embarrassed, as if he had been caught red-handed stealing something. Can't Country Lord Shang sense whether I'm here or not? It's fine as long as you know what's going on. North Pole, it's not convenient for me to see guests while I'm cultivating. Arrange for Country Lord Shang to rest at your place. The Big Dipper King's words came out from the manor. He didn't plan on seeing Shang Tianfeng. Country Lord Shang, please? The North Pole King knew that he had made a mistake in handling the situation. He shouldn't have brought Shang Tianfeng over. At this time, Shang Tianfeng couldn't persist. If he insisted on seeing the Big Dipper King, it would be tantamount to declaring war. If it wasn't a declaration of war, then what was? After Shang Tianfeng left, the Big Dipper King, who was playing chess with Bei Xing in the manor's main hall, put down the chess piece in his hand. The Xian celestial realm needs to be cleaned up. Even the leader of a faction, king, is so despicable. This faction is a malignant tumor. Father, he probably didn't find anything. If he did, he wouldn't have left just like that, Bei Xing said. Big Dipper King turned his head to look in the direction of Night Sorrow's courtyard and nodded. He was worried about Father's attitude. Coupled with the influence of the Soul Bell, he didn't have the time to carefully investigate. Furthermore, Night Sorrow activated the array formation, so he shouldn't have noticed. Father, we still have to think of a foolproof plan. If he finds out and doesn't show it, we can report it to the Zhongyun monarch. If he comes to the manor to investigate, he will be caught red-handed. It will be disadvantageous to Lord Father, Bei Xing said. Without any substantial evidence, no one can mess around with me. However, we must have a foolproof plan. Let me lend my Big Dipper realm to Night Sorrow. That way there won't be any problems, Big Dipper King said. Lend him the Big Dipper realm? Is this appropriate? Bei Xing looked at his father in surprise. The Big Dipper realm was a Saint King grade space treasure. It was the protective treasure of Big Dipper's Star Lord. If he wanted to lend it to Night Sorrow, he would have to remove the ownership. Is it appropriate to let them enter Father's space treasure? That's even more inappropriate, Big Dipper's Star Lord said. Bei Xing thought about it and nodded. That was indeed the case. No one was willing to enter someone else's space treasure. It was tantamount to handing their life over. Big Dipper King and Bei Xing arrived at Night Sorrow's courtyard. After Night Sorrow led them into the courtyard, Big Dipper King explained the situation. At the same time, he took off a silver ring on his finger and removed the ownership. Sir King, please wait. I have a space treasure. Night Sorrow stretched out his arm and the dragon cauldron hovered in his hand. Very well. Beixing, stay with Night Sorrow and the others for now. If anything happens and they enter the space treasure, take it with you, Big Dipper King instructed Beixing. Beixing nodded. She knew that Big Dipper City had also entered the maelstrom. After Shang Tianfeng left, he met up with Yuan Qianba and Song Wuzue. Country Lord Shang, what's the situation now? Song Wuzue asked. Big Dipper King refused to meet me. He said that it was inconvenient for him to meet guests during his cultivation. This is an excuse. If he is not guilty, he would not act like this. His manor has a soul bell that will ring as long as one uses their soul power to investigate. That is why I did not discover anything. Shang Tianfeng felt that something was amiss. He felt that there was something wrong with Big Dipper King, but he could not find any flaws. Then I will return and report this to Big Dipper King. I don't believe that Big Dipper King can take it, Song Wuzue said, somewhat annoyed. If this matter was not resolved, it would be his fault. It's useless. Without substantial evidence, Big Dipper King cannot force things. Big Dipper King will interfere unless there is a true war. Shang Tianfeng was also depressed. Big Dipper King knew that Night Sorrow was with him, but no one could do anything about it. And Shang Tianfeng had offended Big Dipper King. He did not manage to hit the fox and got himself into trouble. Then this matter will end like this? Song Wuzue was not resigned. Big Dipper King cannot hide him forever, right? He will come out eventually. Also, you guys keep an eye on the Nine Heavens realm. He might not stay there for more than 100 years. He might come out at any time, Shang Tianfeng said. That is the only thing we can do now. Big Dipper King, our Grey Cloud sect will remember him. Song Wuzue hated Big Dipper King, but there was nothing he could do. If there was evidence to prove that Yi Shang was at the Big Dipper Villa, then he could ask the Songyun monarch to step in. However, there was no evidence now. If the Songyun monarch wanted to force things without evidence, then it would be a battle of forces, a battle of monarchs. The Black Heaven monarch would not allow the Songyun monarch to act as he pleased in the profound heaven world. Also, report to Big Dipper King that the people guarding the Nine Heavens realm must be strong. When that guy comes out, he might be king. Shang Tianfeng looked at Song Wuzue and said. Song Wuzue nodded. He knew that Night Sorrow's combat ability was strong. It was useless to send people at the same level to guard him. Night Sorrow, Zhu Juyun, Xueshi, and Wu Lingfei drank tea and chatted every day. Night Sorrow would cultivate his battle skills when he had time. After half a month, there was still no movement. Night Sorrow removed the formation. After all, it was inconvenient to have a formation. This was not his territory. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Soon after, Big Dipper King came and told Night Sorrow about the situation and the results of his analysis. In other words, there is no evidence that Lord King took me in. They can't do anything. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Yes. Usually, King has to be obedient in my place. Big Dipper King can't do anything he wants. This is Big Dipper City, not his Grey Cloud sect. He can do whatever he wants. If he is arrogant in Big Dipper City, it is not only a slap to my face but also to Big Dipper King. He can't bear the consequences. Big Dipper King nodded. Chapter 1046. After hearing the Beidou sovereign's words, Yi Shang understood that the Grey Cloud sect couldn't do whatever they wanted under the suppression of other powers. That's safe. You guys stay here. I'll investigate the situation outside. I'll keep an eye on the Celestial Master Pavilion. I'll bring back any orders, said Beixing. Every time you go out, call your third senior brother. That way no one will dare to spy on you, said Big Dipper King. Okay, then I'll call third senior brother to live in the Big Dipper Villa. Beixing nodded. She wasn't a willful person. She knew that the current situation was very tense. They couldn't be targeted. Night Sorrow, you have to remember that the safety of your real body is the most important thing. They must have an ambush in the Nine Heavens realm. Big Dipper King reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow exhaled. He knew that danger was coming. The people he had offended were too strong. Monarchs stood at the peak of cultivators. If it weren't for the other monarchs, killing him would be as easy as killing an ant. After Big Dipper King left, Xueshi brewed a pot of tea. Night Sorrow, Big Dipper King is right. The safety of your real body is the most important thing. I know. I'll be careful. Night Sorrow nodded. Pressure. Night Sorrow felt the pressure. You should cultivate steadily. Everything will be fine when you get there, said Wu Lingfei. She didn't want Night Sorrow to feel pressured. Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine. Don't worry about it. Let's live like this for now. The real body will cultivate. The clone will earn resources. If it doesn't work, I'll have to trouble Beijing to send you back to the 9 regions world. I don't believe they can bite me. In the following days, Night Sorrow cultivated quietly. Now that the other party couldn't invade Big Dipper King's residence, he was safe. Other than going to the Celestial Master Pavilion once a day, Beijing would stay in the courtyard and cultivate. Sometimes he would communicate with Night Sorrow. In fact, after Tsang Wuzue reported back, the Tsangyun monarch did not say anything for a long time. In the end, he came to the same decision as Shang Tianfeng. There was no evidence to target the commander of a force. King Shen Tian would definitely appear. No one was willing to start a war, and the Tsangyun monarch was the same. He could only put this matter aside for the time being. After that, he ordered Tsang Wuzue to bring people to the 9 Heavens realm to wait for Night Sorrow's true body. The Ashen Cloud sect left the profound celestial realm with a strong start but a weak finish. The people of the Demon Moon realm also stopped, leaving only King in Big Dipper City. The troops of the South Sky dynasty also retreated out of Big Dipper City. Everyone was well aware of what was going on. They had gone to fight with Big Dipper King, but the Grey Cloud sect could not act rashly because of the mysterious Heaven Sovereign. The Black Heaven Monarch might not care about the conflict between Tianan Empire and Big Dipper City, but Shang Tianfeng did not have the courage to do so. Those who should have left have already left. Only a piece of trash from the Demon Moon realm is still here. It's not a big problem, Beixing said. This time I've troubled Big Dipper King and Miss Beixing. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Beixing. Troubled? I don't think so. When you reach the Heavenly Master realm, you'll have to upgrade my weapons and armor first, Beixing said with a smile. No problem. I'll guarantee that you'll be able to use weapons and armor of the same grade, Night Sorrow said seriously, nodding. Beautiful. Beixing said with a wave of her hand. Knowing that the situation had changed, Night Sorrow's mind became a little more active. I plan to do something. What are you going to do? Zhu Jiyun asked. Go. Let's go destroy a few more cities in the Tianan dynasty and teach them a lesson, Yishang said. I support you. Tell me what to do and I'll cooperate with you, Beixing said. She was a naturally warlike person. Take me away from Big Dipper City and wait for me in a small city. I'll find you there when I'm done, Night Sorrow said. You don't need my help? Beixing said, a little disappointed. I really can't. I can't bring trouble to your father. If there's a chance in the future, we'll fight together. Night Sorrow nodded at Beixing. I didn't think it through. I'm sorry that I couldn't help you, Beixing said apologetically. Don't say that. Don't say that. I'm truly grateful this time. Thank you, Lord Sovereign King. Thank you, Miss Beixing, said Yishan. After making the decision, Night Sorrow and the others entered the Dragon's Cauldron. Beixing then took the Dragon's Cauldron and left the Big Dipper Manor. They teleported to a small city and arrived at an inn. Beixing shook the Dragon's Cauldron and Night Sorrow came out. Miss Beixing, wait for me here. I'll be back in 3 days. After Night Sorrow appeared, he put on the God-slaying squad's mask and left the inn. Using the teleportation array, Night Sorrow teleported to the Sky South Dynasty's territory. He then circled the city he wanted to attack on a map and activated the teleportation array. After teleporting to the target city, Night Sorrow did a quick scan and did not find King. He then occupied the teleportation array and began the battle. During the battle, Night Sorrow also released Zhu Jiyun and the others. This way the battle would be faster. After taking down a city, Night Sorrow led the girls to the next city and continued the battle. At this time, Night Sorrow was invincible among the king. Even if he faced a 1-star or 2-star king, Night Sorrow did not fear him. Moreover, there were only a few kings in the Sky South dynasty. There was no way they would be guarding the city. In half a day's time, Yishan and the girls had taken down 5 cities in a row. Without a teleportation array, it was impossible for the cities under attack to send messages. Every time they took down a city, Night Sorrow would leave a message saying that he would deal with the Sky South dynasty every time they did something stupid. After taking down 5 cities and collecting the resources of the 5 city lord mansions, Night Sorrow took the teleportation array and arrived at the small city where he met up with Beixing. The situation is too complicated to take action? Don't worry, we'll find another opportunity next time, Beixing said. Taking down 5 cities went very smoothly, Shueshi said with a smile. You took down 5 cities in half a day? Beixing was shocked. This kind of sneak attack requires a quick battle and a quick retreat. In fact, this kind of battle only lasts for 1 day, Night Sorrow said. Beautiful. Then let's go back and wait for news. Let's see what kind of chaos the Sky South dynasty is in, Beixing said with a wave of his arm. I thought about it just now. We won't return to Big Dipper City. This will cause trouble for Lord King. We'll find a place to live in seclusion. Beixing, thank you for taking care of me during this time. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Beixing. What are you talking about? My father was afraid of trouble, so he wouldn't take on this matter. I treat you as a friend, so I'm not afraid of trouble. Now let's not talk about anything else. Let's go back. If you don't, then we won't be friends anymore, Beixing said to Night Sorrow. Beixing, we are friends, but it really isn't appropriate for us to return to Big Dipper City, Night Sorrow said with a bitter smile. Let's not talk about these useless things. I'm asking you now, are you coming back with me? Beixing's usual smile was gone, replaced by a solemn expression. Chapter 1047. Looking at Beixing's serious face, Night Sorrow thought for a moment and nodded. That's right. You guys enter the space treasure. We'll talk about it when we get back. Beixing smiled. Night Sorrow and the others entered the Dragon Cauldron. Beixing brought the Dragon Cauldron back to Beidou City and the Beidou Villa. When they arrived at the courtyard, Beixing shook the Dragon Cauldron, and Yi Shang and the others came out. Night Sorrow, I'm very angry today. Think about it. Beixing glanced at Night Sorrow and left. Haha, I really made her angry. Night Sorrow rubbed his nose. Yes, she's really angry. Explain it later. Wu Lingfei said. Beixing didn't go to the villa for a day and only arrived at noon the next day. She brought some food and wine. Beixing, don't be angry. I didn't mean it. Night Sorrow poured a cup of tea for Beixing and smiled. I can't afford to be angry with you. I went to gather information. The news has already spread. Now the Tianan dynasty is in chaos. Shang Tianfeng has gone mad with anger. He gave the order to capture you. If they capture you, they'll tear you to pieces, said Beixing. She had been waiting outside all day for news, not to be angry with Yi Shang. Haha, he wants to. We'll see if he can do it. Night Sorrow sneered. Of course. It's because he can't catch you that he said those words. Beixing said. Beixing opened the food box and took out the wine. They drank and chatted. Looking at Q, Yi Shang, you let me down a little yesterday. Friends should go through thick and thin together. You shouldn't have any messy thoughts, said Beixing. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that yesterday was inappropriate. While Night Sorrow and the others were drinking, the outside world was in chaos. The Sky South Empire had completely sealed off all regions, and Shang Tianfeng had also notified the Ashen Cloud sect. Because Night Sorrow had appeared in the Sky South Empire, it was a good opportunity to capture Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow did not know about these things, and even if he knew, he would not care. After Beixing left, he would cultivate battle techniques and fuse battle techniques. This time, when he was massacring the city, he realized that the movement techniques and techniques fused with the time and space elements were really useful. Peak stage Saint Kings could only be killed and would not be able to stop his attacks. After cultivating his battle skills for a while, Night Sorrow began to refine pills. This time he had robbed a lot of materials and now he could turn them into pills. When Beixing returned to the courtyard, his face was full of smiles. Night Sorrow, you've had a lot of fun. The people of the Tianan dynasty and the Grey Cloud sect have been searching for you all over the Tianan dynasty. They're just a bunch of idiots. How could they be so stupid? Why didn't they leave after killing him? Why would Night Sorrow wait for them to capture him? Shueshi could not understand. They're not stupid. It's just that they had people watching the teleportation array of Big Dipper City and did not see Night Sorrow enter or leave, so they determined that he was hiding in the Tianan dynasty. Ah, they're not stupid. They're just a little stupid. Beixing shook his head and said. The people of the Grey Cloud sect, Tianan dynasty, and Demon Moon Realm who had originally stayed in Big Dipper City to monitor the situation had also retreated. Their main focus had shifted to the Tianan dynasty, the Tianding Gate region and Two Extreme City, because these were the regions where Night Sorrow was most likely to appear. The situation was very stable. Beixing asked the greedy king to continue monitoring the Heavenly Star Tower near the teleportation array. Then Night Sorrow brought the girls back to the Sage Pavilion. Night Sorrow's life was quiet once again. No one came to Big Dipper City to search because some factors had eliminated the possibility that Night Sorrow was in Big Dipper City. However, the Big Dipper King still had some arrangements. If someone came, he would be the first to know. Bei Xing asked Night Sorrow to set up an array around the mansion behind the Sage Pavilion. The array was activated, and Night Sorrow left a door for her to enter and exit. This way she could enter and exit without others being able to find out. The Tiannan dynasty became the laughingstock of the Xian celestial realm. They were attacked by Night Sorrow again and again, but they had no way to fight back. Inside the Tianding Gate, Elder Xiang and Yen Huifeng were discussing the current situation with Yu Yangyu and the others at Danding Peak. I have to say that Sage Knight did well. Now, the Tiannan dynasty attacked you first, and then you retaliated. If the Tiannan dynasty starts a conflict with us again, what should we do? Should I go find an ally and declare war? Yen Huifeng asked Elder Xiang. There's no need to find an ally. If they start a conflict, we'll declare war. I'll go and see how strong the Tiannan dynasty is. If King dares to come, kill them all. It's not that I'm not giving face to the Tianxi King, it's that his descendants are too arrogant, Elder Xiang said. Disciple understands. Yen Huifeng nodded. He knew that Elder Xiang was really angry now. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made such a decision. On this day, Night Sorrow had just finished concocting pills. Wu Lingfei told Night Sorrow that his family had all come out of seclusion. With the acceleration of the space-time pagoda, everyone's cultivation had increased rapidly. Yishang's parents were already high-rank saints, and his 3 wives were not far from becoming high-rank saints. The members of the God-slaying team went to the Holy Hall to teach the students to calm down. Ask Little Kong about the spirit stones. Also talk to Little Kong. Night Moon's people and my senior brothers in the Medicine Valley want to go in to cultivate. Open them up to them, Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei then told Night Sorrow that there were enough spirit stones in Little Kong and that he didn't need to worry. She also told Night Sorrow and his senior brothers in the Medicine Valley that she would inform later. Knowing that everything was fine in the 9 regions world, Night Sorrow felt at ease. He told Wu Lingfei, Zhu Juyun, and Xueshi not to tell his family about this, mainly because he didn't want them to worry. Understanding Night Sorrow's thoughts, Wu Lingfei and the others nodded. I don't know when my original body will wake up from its enlightenment. When it wakes up again, even if I don't enter the king's realm, it will be about time. Night Sorrow was confident in himself. What he needed was time. Night Sorrow, even if you enter the king's realm, don't come out of the will of heaven and earth's cave. This is a rare opportunity. You can continue to cultivate inside. It will definitely be much faster than outside. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. She felt that no matter what happened, no grudge, nothing was more important than Night Sorrow's future. Things could be resolved slowly, but there weren't many opportunities to increase his strength. It wasn't worth it to give up the opportunity to quickly improve his cultivation for the sake of the matter at hand. I understand. I've just entered the king's realm, so I'm not his opponent. However, it won't be easy for anyone to kill me. After all, the wills that I've comprehended specialize in speed. Ordinary kings aren't as fast as mine. Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei nodded. Everyone was looking forward to it because Night Sorrow was the pillar of the 9 regions world. If Night Sorrow entered the king's realm, it would open the path of the 9 regions world's true rise. He wouldn't be at the mercy of others. Just like in the Wuji world, Shang Tianfeng didn't dare to challenge Yen Tianpa. What are you guys talking about? Why are you so serious? I have good news. The Demon Moon world is going to be in trouble. North Star entered the courtyard and said, You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.